Yes, thank you. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Everybody please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May action meeting of the Board of Education. We are streaming live this evening, so if you could keep it quiet in the room because we want the people watching us on the internet to hear what everybody has to say. Mrs. Sugars, would you take roll, please?
Mr. Goodwin?
Here.
Mrs. Judge?
Here.
Mrs. Matlack?
Here.
Mrs. Seidel?
Here.
Mrs. Scarpolino?
Here.
Mrs. Schultz?
Here.
Mr. Tomlinson?
Here.
Dr. Wong?
Here.
Dr. Dickinson?
Here. First order of business is to approve the minutes. We have the regular action meeting dated April 18th, 2017. Special meeting, our board retreat dated April 29th, 2017. And our executive session dated April 18th, 2017. Any changes, additions, deletions? No, seeing none, Mr. Sugars. Oh, sorry. Motion to accept the minutes. Mrs. Judge. Second, Mrs. Matlack. Mr. Sugars. Thank you.
Mr. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mrs. Judge?
Yes.
Mrs. Matlack?
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel?
Yes.
Mrs. Scarpolino?
Yes.
Mrs. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Tomlinson?
Yes.
Dr. Wong?
Yes.
Dr. Dickinson?
Yes to all. Next, we'll move on to our correspondence, and we actually have quite a bit of correspondence this evening, so who would like to start? Mrs. Matlack.
I just wanted to tell everybody that Mrs. Judge and I attended the World Language Cook-Off over at West on Friday, and it was crowded and exciting, and the smells were awesome, and the food was incredible. I put together some pictures as we were walking around and tasting food and talking to the students about what they did and what they made and why they made it and how they did it. Took pictures. They were very excited to pose for pictures, and I have a bunch of them, so I printed them out, and I'll pass them around for everybody to see. I'd just like to read you a little bit of what it's about. This exciting event challenges Italian, French, Latin, and Spanish language students in a friendly but serious competition to see which teams can best execute and display traditional foods from their respective countries. In the past years, we've had over 130 participants, and a great time was had by all. And I can attest to this year was an overwhelming success as well. I really don't know how many participated this year, but I'm sure it was at least 130, if not more, students. And in the atrium in West where it was held was packed, was just packed. And it was a wonderful event. So I encourage board members, if you have a chance next year, please go, and go hungry, because Mrs. Judge and I did not realize how much food we would be expected to eat at this, so we were not quite as hungry as we should have been. But it was delicious, and I'm glad we went. Thank you.
I would just like to add that some of the kids, their trifolds were phenomenal with blinking lights, and the presentations were in the costumes. Some of them took it very, very seriously. It was really interesting. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, absolutely recommend that you go next year if you can.
Mrs. Seidel.
Okay, so mine wasn't nearly as exciting as the cook-off, so I apologize in advance. On Saturday, I attended the New Jersey School Boards Association, otherwise known as the NJSBA, Delegate Assembly on behalf of Cherry Hill Board of Education. The assembly is made up of Board of Ed delegates from school boards across New Jersey and officers and board members from the NJSBA. There were also 2 representatives from the State Board of Ed. who were also present at the meeting, and this was my first time representing Cherry Hill at the meeting. The beginning of the meeting was procedural in nature. The rules of conduct of the Delegate Assembly, basic Robert's Rules of Order 101, were reviewed, as well as the minutes from the December 2016 meeting. Donald Webster, the outgoing NJSBA president, shared his report on the health of NJSBA, followed by the report of the NJSBA's executive director, Larry Feinsod, which focused on future plans and goals for the New Jersey School Boards Association. We then moved into the committee reports. The Legislative Committee report and Urban Boards Committee report were delivered first because they required no action on behalf of the Delegate Assembly. The election and swearing in of officers was next on the agenda. The 4 open positions were filled with representation from Passaic County, Warren County, and 2 from Burlington County. Next, we moved into the committee reports that did require delegate action. This is where it gets exciting. Just kidding. The School Finance Committee report, there were some recommended revisions to New Jersey School Boards Association's Manual of Positions and Policies on Education, File Code 3220. A lot of wording changes, basically. To sum that up. The Special Education Committee report, the committee recommended additional policy language to be included in the Manual of Positions and Policies on Education that will enable the association to advocate for greater flexibility in the assessment of special education students. Then the report on the Task Force on Student Achievement Committee, they put forth some revisions that did not represent a shift in the direction of the association, but rather ensure that New Jersey School Board Association's beliefs in key areas reflect its mission to advance public education and to promote the achievement of all students through effective governance. Lastly, there were 2 resolutions for discussion. Resolution 1 was from Edison Township Board of Ed, who proposed new policy language. The New Jersey School Board Association, and this is the language they wanted to propose. The New Jersey School Boards Association believes that New Jersey charter schools and high-quality suburban school districts erode the operations of public education by draining badly needed financial resources. New Jersey School Boards Association's position recommended that this resolution be opposed. They felt that the current policy recognizes the impact of charter school funding and authorization process on all local school districts, and they thought the proposed policy could put NJSBA in the position of advocating against parental choice, which nobody wanted to do. Resolution number 2 came from Waterford Township Board of Ed. They proposed new policy language for adoption by the Delegate Assembly. The resolution requests that NJSBA adopt a policy stating its belief that existing New Jersey state law should be amended by the legislator to allow for a shared superintendent for no minimum time period and to be done on an as-needed basis. And New Jersey School Boards Association did support this proposal, and the resolution was approved by the Delegate Assembly, and my very exciting meeting adjourned at 12 p.m. And I also have some handout material I'll pass around. Real exciting stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Seidel. I'm sorry that I missed that meeting because I used to always do those, and they are fascinating. But they give you good food, don't they?
No.
Okay. Anybody else? Oh, Mrs. Judge, sorry.
So I left my notes on a prayer at home, so I will do my best. I don't know it well, so I will again do my best. So I wanted to report on 4 things. One is Dr. Dickinson and Dr. Marash and I attended the Our Community Salutes dinner last Tuesday night at the Mansion in Voorhees. What was the date? It doesn't matter. So, May 16th. So Dr. Ken Hartman, who is a former board member, this was the 9th annual Our Community Salutes dinner, and it's for seniors who are going directly into the service from graduation. And it was for all of Camden County, and they had color guard there. They had about 4 or 5 phenomenal speakers there, and it was a sit-down dinner with cheesecake, and it really was phenomenal. And Dr. Hartman should be really, I emailed him the next day, how he should be really very proud of that, because I actually think, as nice as it is for the seniors who are going to the military, I almost think it's more important for the parents and the guardians to witness the retired military there, sitting at each table. It really was, it's well done. It really is well done. So that was one thing I wanted to report on. Ken Hartman said something I hope to see next year. So maybe we can get more volunteers included next year. And then this coming Thursday, several of us attending a joint school boards New Jersey PTA legislative day this coming Thursday up in Trenton. So we'll have a report at the next meeting. And next Wednesday is Garden State Coalition of Schools. Annual meeting, that's a morning meeting because it's the annual meeting. It's at Forsgate, Township, I believe. And then the third thing I wanted to mention was next Friday, a couple of us are attending the New Jersey School Board School Security and Student Safety Conference up in the conference center at Mercer County Community College. So we'll have much more to talk about next time. So I just wanted to, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Judge. Anyone else? No? Well, I'll report something then. I attended the New Jersey State Character Ceremony Awards with Dr. Malash and Dr. Chapman this past Friday up at Rider University. The district was awarded with a State Character Award, which is one of very few that possess such a district-wide award. And Russell White and Brett Hart were also recognized as state schools of character. Wonderful event. It's wonderful to see all the work that the students put into it and the administration puts into it to be recognized for this. And I think it really sets us apart as a district, that we're not only focused on academics, but trying to build good students as well. So, that's my report. Oh.
I can talk about those.
Okay.
We were at the state.
We're at state level. Dr. Malash will recognize you guys. That's all I saw. Okay. We're going to turn it over to Dr. Malash for several presentations.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Dickinson. The first presentation that we have this evening brings us students and folks from High School West to talk about the Virtua intern program. So Mrs. Wilson's going to come over, and I think there is a video piece as well, Mrs. Wilson. And Dr. Morton and some of the staff and the kids are here, so we're excited to see. So we'll get them set up. Oh, and Mrs. Castellani. Are you speaking on behalf of the group, Mrs. Castellani?
Good evening. We're here to present the virtual internship end of the year presentation. My name is Pamela Ayala, and I'm one of the interns. I plan to study at LaSalle University this fall. Tonight I'd like to share with you all the great benefits that this program has brought to our lives, the South Jersey community, and to Virtua. We want to thank you for having us today, and we hope that you enjoy our presentation. So in this slide, we are Virtua in the conference room under Virtua CEO Rich Miller's quote. It says, "To gain knowledge is a gift, to transfer knowledge to others is a blessing." We believe that this quote has summed up our year perfectly. We think that the incredible Virtua staff has transferred their gift of knowledge to us, and we hope that it was a blessing to them. Sorry. And we hope that we can get the chance to transfer our gift of knowledge to the next generation someday. Now I would like you to meet my lovely fellow interns.
Hi, I'm Molly Birch, and I'll be attending Stockton University in the fall.
Hi, I'm Madison Papa. I'm going to Camden County to study nursing.
I'm Kaylee Hutchinson, and I'll also be attending Camden County to study nursing.
Hi, I'm Andrew Robertson. I'll be going to Rutgers Camden to play soccer and study biology.
I'm Angie Waters. I'll be going to Seton Hall to study biology.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Sin. I'll be going to Camden County to study biology. Hi, I'm Caitlin Flynn. I'll be going to Drexel University to study nursing.
Hi, I'm Courtney Patterson. I'll be going to Rowan College at Burlington County.
Now Caitlin and Courtney will tell you a little bit about the rotations that we experienced throughout the year.
The first one is bereavement. Lady Ann Coyle, that was in charge of it, she deals with mothers going through a loss with babies, and she puts like boxes together for them and makes it a little bit easier.
Med Surg is like the regular unit on the hospital. Basically, any patient goes here.
With Women's Health, they deal with ages 13 on up, dealing with women with a common cold to hysterectomy.
The PCU is the progressive care unit, and that's like a step down from ICU.
With wound care, they deal with diabetic wounds and all other wounds like ulcers or infections.
JRI is the Joint Replacement Institute, and we all got to see surgeries here and follow nurses.
PT and OT is physical therapy and occupational therapy. They deal with people who are just getting out of a stroke or like an ankle sprain.
In the equipment depot, we got to see how all of the hospital's equipment is cleaned.
With quality, it's more of the business side to the hospital. So some of us got to see what Helene Loeb, the lady that's in charge of it, she got to show us what kind of precautions to take.
And cardiac rehab is where patients go after having heart surgery.
Expect the unexpected. We had so many great experiences throughout the year that it was so hard for us to narrow it down to just one. Personally, I thought that I would just be shadowing nurses, but I never thought that I would be able to watch in a live surgery. I never thought I would be standing here and sharing this experience with you, or getting the taste of the real world of medicine at such a young age and being only a senior in high school. This experience couldn't have been better, and I can't express how thankful we are. Now, Kaylee will tell you a little bit more.
So I went into this program with kind of low expectations. Like I was like, maybe I'll shadow a nurse, a doctor, if I was lucky that day. And as you can see, our expectations were just to like watch and listen. But in reality, and in addition to those, we got to learn so many new things. Like Pam said, I never thought I would be get to stand next to a surgeon as he performs surgery. And we also got to build really great connections with so many different patients throughout the South Jersey community. And we also made so many great connections with so many Virtua staff. Like, every single person I met, they were like, here, take my card if you ever need anything, please let me know. And they were just like so helpful, and I'm so grateful to Virtua for this opportunity.
Like my friends here, my experience has also exceeded my expectations. I expected to be filling water pitchers or changing sheets on beds. But actually, I was actually on the operating room. I got to stand next to the surgeon, see the patient open on the table, and yeah, I'm really grateful.
And last thing I just want to quickly add is, we never thought, especially for me, I never thought that I would grow as a person. Through this program, I really learned not only about myself, but it confirmed my love for healthcare. So I think that we can all say the same, how through this program, we really learned that this is something that we all want to do, and this is a career path that we all want to share with everybody.
One of my best experiences when I was at Virtua was when I got to see a robotic hysterectomy, and I got to sit next to the surgeon the entire time, and he told me everything that he was doing. And I didn't realize that in a robotic surgery, the surgeon actually sits across the room and the patient is on the other side of the room because he's controlling the arms of the robot. And he told me everything that he was doing, and it was almost like he was playing a video game. It was really cool to watch.
Raise this up a little bit. Hi. So, I know when you hear the phrase best experience, you think of something happy or something that blows your mind in a positive way. My best experience is a little more morbid. So, I had an aunt pass away from cancer last year, and she was an amazing lady. And what most people don't think about when you go to a hospital, you mostly think about the patient. You think about the sick person that's laying in the bed. You don't think about the family that's left behind if they do pass away. And so while I was at PCU, the Progressive Care Unit, I was following a nurse and a nurse tech. And throughout my entire experience, you could just see the level of devotion and the commitment that each nurse has to each patient. And one day, I was walking the halls, and there's hall monitors with the hearts, the the heartbeats of each patient showed throughout the hallways. And throughout the day, I saw this one room go lower and lower and lower. And by the end of my shift, the 2.5 hours that we have, this guy's heartbeat was about 12 beats per minute. And so as I'm walking past his room, we go in, and I just see nurses completely enveloping this family. They're in shock. They don't know what's going on. And this patient who's in comfort care, which is what the hospital does to allow you to slowly pass away with as little pain as possible, they're sitting there watching their family member die. And so you can't do anything else for this patient, but the nurses stayed by that family's side, gave them all the help they needed, anything they wanted. And it really just helped me understand the devotion that nurses have, and that being a healthcare provider isn't just about physical healing, it's also soulful. And that was my best experience.
So my best experience was not as morbid as Andrew's, but my favorite experience was from the cardiac rehab, which is a place where people go after heart surgery just to get their heart pumping and flowing again. But at this place, this one guy, he was riding on a standstill bicycle. So he was sitting there riding his bike, and all of a sudden he passed out. And being the not knowing any medical senior that I am, I thought he died. So I was standing there, I was like, what do I do? I really don't know how to help you right now. But it was fine, because he eventually woke up, and he told us that he thought he fell asleep, but we knew that wasn't the case. And we found out that he eventually passed a kidney stone during that time, and it just showed me that anything can happen during in the medical field.
So next I'll be talking about the
sim lab, which is something that's unique to Virtua. So as you see in the pictures, there are a bunch of mannequins just laying in the hospital beds. And they're not just ordinary mannequins. They can talk, they can breathe, they have a heartbeat, they can produce bodily fluids. And so the window, they put them into cardiac arrest thing, so we had to try and figure out how to like save their life. And this really like put a knowledge to the test because they taught us about it before, and then they kind of just threw us over and were like, here, go try it. And it was a really good experience because it kind of like showed us how to work under pressure and how to work as a team together under pressure, because that's very important.
So one day we actually had the opportunity to meet with Virtua's marketing team. So they have a whole recording studio, and you don't realize that at the end of the day, Virtua is a business. So they have their own cooking show and radio network, stuff like that. And they split us up into teams so we could make 2 different videos, and it was really fun. Our broadcasting team came with us, so we'd like to show you those videos now.
You said put the mic down. It's not. Yeah.
Achilles and his gifts, with Spider-Man's control, Batman with his fist. Clearly I don't see myself upon that list. She said, where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts. Superhero, something. I want something just like this. I want something just like this. I want something just like this. I want something just like this.
You want to start off?
So now we're going to talk about how it's going to benefit our community. So I think I can talk on behalf of all of us. It's really motivated us to just like help other people, and like every single day that we were there, we were just so motivated to like learn something new, because it's not like a senior to just be in a hospital learning every day. So Emma's going to talk about some more stuff, but that's one key thing. Like, this is just another thing that a senior does, like, in high school. So it was a great experience.
So one of the main benefits about this is that it not only gives young people the opportunity to be in a work environment, it helps kids that are going to college the next year who have no idea what they want to do with their lives give you an idea of what you may or may not like to do. For me, it taught me a lot about myself. It really helped me open up and be more social and be able to talk to a patient that I've never met before in my life that is sick. It helped me talk to nurses and business representatives at Virtua, and it really helps you grow as a person. Another benefit is that it creates a connection between the high school and Virtua. It creates a connection between future employees and their employers, which is a huge benefit. It's an outreach program for not only West, but for the hospital as well. And we couldn't be more excited and more grateful for the opportunity that we were provided.
Going off what Andrew said, I'm also grateful because it saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars because I would have went to school for PT and hated it. And now I know that I want to be a nurse, which is great because I got to shadow nurses and I also got to shadow physical therapists and see that it just wasn't for me and that I want to be a nurse in the hospital.
Oh, and then we already did this.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna.
All right.
So just to wrap it up, I want to say how this benefited me personally. Yeah, I went in not sure what I wanted to do, and I ended up deciding I want to go for physician assistant. And I got into Stockton's program, which is really difficult to get to do. So I had to do a long interview process. And in my actual major interview, we only talked about this program. So this is what I think had a huge benefit to me as to getting into college. So yeah, I just want to say thank you again. We all really got a lot out of it. We grew a lot from it, I think, as Ms. Castellani said, from the beginning of the year to now. Yeah, it opened us up to a lot of new opportunities, and I think it made us all very excited for the future. So I want to say thank you so much for the opportunity.
We want to just quickly thank a few people. Thank you, Dr. Ryan, the principal of our school. Thank you, Mrs. Polodnik. And thank you, Mrs. Raskow, for coming up with the idea. And thank you, the three of you guys, for making this happen, because we are extremely grateful, and we can't stress enough how we think that this program should continue for many more years. So thank you so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed.
Could you folks come around the front here so we can congratulate you one-on-one?
Thank you for sharing that.
Congratulations. Thank you, very good.
Great job. Thank you for sharing that.
Good job, good job. Good job.
Great job. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. That was very nice.
Great job.
Thank you.
Dr. Dickinson and the board, it gives me great pleasure to do our final presentation for this year, for this academic year, on the Cherry Hill 2020 work that we've been working on for almost the last 12 months. So Mrs. Sugars and I are thrilled to be here tonight to share this information. Just a reminder, when Mrs. Sugars and I did the presentation in January, both at the strategic planning meeting as well as at the board meeting, this is where we began. We talked about what we do as a school district, what our purpose is, who we are, and just some of the positive images from the district, students and staff, families and sports, kids on stages. So to set the foundation for us, in July of 2016, as a board, you adopted a set of 4 board goals. The 4th goal was unique for us as a school district because this kind of transitioned the work that we've done over the course of the last 5 or 6 years to have a very specific goal that was actionable for the board to take a long and hard look at the strategic plan of who we are as a school district, what we expect of ourselves, where we want ourselves to be, and that we titled Cherry Hill Public Schools 2020, A Clear Vision for the Future. So our process, beginning last summer, and then took us up to January, which is when we did the first formal presentation to go through where we were and what had occurred. One of the things that we started with was last fall in September, we published a document that laid out what we would work on as a school district during the course of the 10 months that brings us up to tonight, to this presentation. These are the things that occurred from July through January. Identifies some of the community conversations, work that we did with the PTA, the information was turnkeyed at all the schools, and then also things that took place in the community. We wanted people's input, right? We're a school district. We take care of, on a daily basis, about 11,300 students. We have almost 1,700 employees. We represent about 6,600 families and a community of tens of thousands more people. We are an incredibly large organization. There are a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of people who are involved on a daily basis. One of the great things that we find in our community, there's a number of folks who not only grew up in the district, but are also raising their children here. There's a long history and a long experience in Cherry Hill. So we wanted people's input. We wanted the different stakeholder groups to be involved. We wanted to hear from students. We wanted to hear from staff. We wanted to hear from parents and from the PTAs. We wanted to hear from business folks. And we wanted to hear from residents in the community. When we asked the questions about who are we and what do we do well, what do we value, we asked people to categorize their answers into these 6 categories: facilities and infrastructure, materials, supplies, and services, staffing, process and governance, financing cost, and then other. Because in a lot of ways, they're easy things to put in facilities and infrastructure, bricks and mortar. Those are things that are tangible, that we can wrap our minds around and put things on. But there's other things that might come up that people say, I'm not sure, where should I put that? If I want to list that specifically, I don't know what category. So we included the other. So our current work, what have we done? What's our process been? Board committee meetings, we've discussed in all of our committees from February through May. Strategic planning meeting, we've had active discussions publicly with the strategic planning committee, which again is an interesting part of the process, because one of the things that you know as a board is the discussions that take place publicly. This is how it's been from the beginning as we've worked through this. We've included very specific letters in the weekly newsletter that we publish on the April 7th, April 21st, May 5th, to talk about the work that's going on. 2 different online lunch videos that I did in March and both in April talked about this. Dr. Dickinson read a very pointed statement at the work session this month on May 9th, and then tonight we have this presentation. So one of the big things later this evening as a board, we're going to ask you to approve our new mission statement. One of the core pieces of doing this work during the course of the year was to take a look at the mission and vision statement that we use as a school district. The mission statement that's currently on the books is antiquated. There's language in there that has to be changed. There's language in there that does not exist and is not appropriate anymore. And with our mission, it's something that we all should be able to articulate as the adults who are involved, whether it's board members or staff members or community members. We should share that common mission and what we want to do, what we want to accomplish. So this is the mission statement that we'll ask you to approve this evening. And then tonight, the presentation. So status and update on the goal. This is formally what this is letting you know, bless you, where we are on this 4th goal. An overview of information and a final analysis of what we took in from all the folks that participated during the course of this year. And we do not have an exact count on the number of people because we did not take all individual submissions from groups. We had 16 of the schools send in school-wide documents. We had individuals from all 19 of the schools send in individual documents. We had entire PTAs send in things as groups. We had people from Chamber of Commerce send things in. We had community members send things in. So when we look at the number of people that were represented, we estimate well over 1,000 people that actually participated in the discussion or submitted some form of information the way that it came through. And then finally, recommendations and next steps. So these are just some screenshots from the presentation that we did in January. And again, the presentation's online. We have a special little tab on our website that's Cherry Hill 2020. Went through each of the 6 areas: facilities and infrastructure, materials, supplies, and services, staffing, processing governance, financing cost, and then the other. And if you remember in January, we talked about long-term goals and short-term goals, long-term items to be worked on and short-term items to be worked on. Because there was a lot of information that we received as people submitted screens missing in classrooms or a leak someplace that existed, all things that have to be addressed, paint or things that need to happen within classrooms or happen within buildings. So all the work that went through is not just things that are going to be done next year in the future as we get into 2020, but also things that need to be worked on currently. So feedback During the course of the spring, we continued to ask for feedback. We did the formal meetings in the fall. Again, we maintained the information online that people would submit electronically. Little snapshot for one of the online lunches. People submit information as we go through in the discussions or the email questions. The lower left-hand corner, that's the quick question feature that's on our website. We've advertised through Twitter and through Facebook. And then again, on the lower right-hand side is the link that's the specific page on our website about Cherry Hill 2020. And we're still taking feedback. One of the great things is we found that a lot of people want to offer feedback, and we are always willing to take that. And it benefits us when people want to provide feedback, they actually send it to us. So next steps. A little quote from Jonas Salk, and because I knew the kids were presenting tonight, and I had a preview of what the students and the work that they did through Virtua. Jonas Salk, so one of the quotes that I like from Jonas Salk, the reward for work well done is the opportunity to do more. And honestly, I think it's one of the things that's reflective of our school district. We're an incredibly successful school district. When we look at the internal validation of what we do academically in providing opportunity for children, the level of success that children demonstrate when they finish here, the level of success that children find when they go on to the next stage of their lives, whether it's in the military or work or in college, we know that we are very successful. Being very successful means we need to continue to improve on this success. When other people come here. I've told my story about moving here 40 years ago. My parents chose Cherry Hill because of the schools. We here as parents get up and as parents give us information, they chose Cherry Hill to send their children to our schools. So there's always work. Because we're successful, we need to be more successful. And work in these three areas is what we're going to look at in the community. We need families and students and residents to be participatory, to be vocal, to talk to us about what's going on. For the district staff, both instructional, administrative, and our support staff. Again, we have 1,700 employees here in the district. We need to hear people's voices. Then the Board of Education, you 9 members, you folks who are here, who are representing the community, both as a full board and then in the individual communities that meet. And then honestly, referendum. So you're going to hear the word referendum throughout the course of this evening because we need to, at some point in the near future, and I'm going to encourage as we get to the end, in September of 2018, we're going to need to go out for a referendum. There's work that must be done in our school district. So first, what do we need the community to do? We need them to stay actively engaged in this discussion. We need them to stay actively engaged with the school district. There's lots of ways that folks can do that. Read the weekly newsletter. Follow us on the district app. Be involved, follow the district on social media. Be involved in the PTA. Attend Board of Education meetings, attend committee meetings, and then attend stakeholder meetings to discuss and provide input into this plan as we move forward, as well as into the referendum discussion that's there. Again, I'm desperate for the community that wants to be involved with us, to engage the school district in discussion. For district staff, to develop the Cherry Hill 2020 board goal for the 17-18 academic year, transition from this theory, from this discussion, the visioning work of who we are and what we want to be into actionable steps for 2017-2018. Also to review the previous work in the district from the 80s, from the 90s, from the 2000s. We did not open the Cherry Hill Public School District in 2013. It's been open for a lot of years. There's been a lot of work that has gone on. There are a lot of schools. In fact, at one time we had many more schools that were open. There have been committees that have met. There were building committees that met. There were redistricting committees that met. The discussion continues and needs to continue. Every 20 years or so, there has been formal discussions. I have lots of information we'll be going through to look at, because we do not need to recreate some of the discussions that are there, but we need to honor the work that's been done in the past. We need to discuss, as a district staff, the curriculum and staffing implications. We need to talk about kindergarten. We need to talk about content-specific areas and content-specific work. We need to talk about the use of technology. How do we use it as an instructional tool? How do teachers use it? How do we use it as a district? What to require of it? And what are the hands-on experiences that we're providing for the children? Again, when children graduate from Cherry Hill Public School District, we need to make sure that we're preparing them for the world that they are going to enter, not the world that we entered as adults when we graduated from high school. Because for some of us, that's a long time ago. And the world has changed. The demands on kids have changed as they graduate from our schools. We need to develop scope of work to be included in the referendum, and also develop a communication plan regarding Cherry Hill 2020 and the referendum. And then for the board, because you know there's going to be specific tasks that you all are going to have to work on. Again, you need to be involved in this discussion as we move into the June cycle of the board, from the committees into the work session and the action meeting, and developing board goal that focuses on this for 2017-2018. As well as discussing the curricular implications. Part of your work in committees, part of the work in what's done needs to be looking at kindergarten, content-specific areas, use of technology, hands-on experiences. Review, discuss, and approve the scope of work ultimately to be included in a referendum. So, a referendum timeline. We're going to have Mrs. Sugars talk a little bit about the referendum timeline.
So the end game here for our referendum timeline is September 25th of 2018. So why did we pick that date? We have 5 opportunities through the course of a year to hold a referendum: September, December, January, March, and then the annual election in November. And if we work backwards and we think about, how do we get there? How do we get to September 2018, and why would we aim for September 2018? One of the big reasons is because we have debt that's expiring. By 2018-19, we will be debt-free as a school district. We can literally do $60 million worth of projects and not have any impact on taxes. So now is a really good time to take a very hard look at this. It sounds like there's a lot of time between now and September 25th, and there's 5 steps here. They all seem pretty innocuous, but when you really break it down and start to think about it, there's a lot of work that has to be done. And our first step is to determine the scope of projects. We have 19 school buildings. We have 21 buildings throughout the district. We need to make sure that, we cover all of those buildings, that we think about what the needs are, we prioritize what the needs are, because more than likely, the need is going to be greater, than the time that we have and the money that we can raise. Between September 2017 and February 2018, we need to work with our architect to prepare our specifications and our schematic plans. By March of 2018, we actually have to submit a project to the Department of Education and have them review the project. And then by June, July next year at this time, we'll be gearing up to adopt a resolution authorizing a referendum. And by September 25th, 2018, that's when we would have our referendum. So it sounds like it's a long ways away, but it's really not, and there's a lot of work that has to be done between now and then. So some of the areas that we would focus on: buildings and facilities, obviously a big area of need. Grounds, everything from paving and athletics fields, those kinds of things. Security, to me, is the top priority in this referendum, and that's something that we'll talk about at length. And then our instructional spaces, which is everything from auditoriums to classrooms. So if we're looking at buildings and facilities, there certainly are building-specific things that we will talk about, but there's also a lot of things that we can do throughout the district. Roofing and building envelopes, exterior walls, windows. Some of our windows throughout the district are original to our buildings. Structural issues, foundations and canopy systems. Bathroom facilities, again, original bathroom facilities. HVAC is a big issue in this district. We have some areas that have air conditioning. We have some areas where we have window units. Let's take a look at that. By the time we run the electricity, buy the unit, install the unit breaks down and we replace the unit. We have to move a unit from one classroom to another. It takes a lot of our maintenance staff time and effort. Our cafeterias and our kitchens really have not been touched in a number of years. Our multi-purpose rooms. You go to an elementary multi-purpose room on a hot, sunny day, there's no ventilation, it can be an experience. And then our gymnasiums, bleachers that are original to the buildings and things of that nature, flooring, things that need to be looked at. Electrical upgrades. We did some last summer. We did some emergency generators last summer. We're going to do some more this year. But overall, throughout the district, electrical upgrades, so that if we do move ahead with technology and we have one-to-one initiatives, and as we do park testing and all those good things, do we have the electrical backbone to accommodate all of that? Interior finishes, ceilings, floors, built-in cabinets that are, again, original to the building, that are pretty beat up and need to be replaced. Lockers. Our lockers are in pretty bad shape, whether that's in a locker room or in a hallway. And that's something we need to think about. Elevators. We have a couple of double-story buildings, Knight, Sharp, that don't have elevators in them. Accessibility for all. Gutter and soffit replacements and lintels are all things that are pretty universal throughout the district that we need to take a look at.
As far as our grounds are concerned, paving, concrete, and curbing. I know that Dr. Malash jokes that we could have a referendum just on paving, concrete, and curbing, but it's true. You know, it's in bad shape, and it's not a matter of just paving on top of it and making it look good again and fixing it. There's things that have to happen underneath of that paving, whether it's pipes that have to be replaced or a new surface has to be underneath the paving so that the paving lasts longer. So it's not an easy fix, and that's something that's going to be very expensive to do. Athletic facilities. You know, let's take a hard look at our athletic facilities, some of which have not been touched in a long time. Site lighting. You know, come to a back-to-school night, and some of our schools have portable lighting so that, you know, the parking lots are lit up and people can get to where they need to go. And fencing and curb appeal. And I think, Mr. Carter, if I say curb appeal one more time, I think he's going to stop taking my emails and phone calls. So that's something that we really need to focus on. And that's not only just through this referendum, but it's also, you know, in our day-to-day maintenance. So for me, as a newcomer to Cherry Hill, just finishing my first year here, to me, this is the single most important thing that we will talk about in this referendum process: security in our buildings. And that's everything from our interior and exterior doors, again, some original to the buildings that need to be replaced, door access readers so that we can use our swipe cards to get into buildings as opposed to ringing bells and using keys. Entrance vestibules. Having a vestibule so that when you come into a building, there's a holding area so that we can see what the person is there for, direct them to the right direction as opposed to letting them have access to our buildings. Now, a lot of that will have to do with where the main offices are located and the proximity to the front of the entrance. So there may be some main office restructuring that we have to do in some of our buildings. If you think about a Stockton, where the main office is across from the entrance, how will we deal with those kinds of things, and how would we set up a vestibule in that building? Camera systems. Now, cameras obviously don't prevent crime, but they certainly are useful in you know, making sure if you have blind spots in your building that people are safe, or if something happens, you have a way to go back and look at things. And then again, if we are going to put swipe card systems and camera systems in, we need to have the technological infrastructure behind that to support all of that. So what do we need to do to address that, not only for security, but also just for everyday use? And instructional spaces, auditoriums. You know, our auditoriums could use some sprucing up. Practical labs, science labs, music and art spaces. Our courtyards. Interestingly enough, we have courtyards in a lot of our buildings, and sometimes we can't use them because they don't have this code requirements so that we can go out and use them. So do we want to address that? Do we want to make them usable? And again, accessibility for all of our visitors and students. So just because we're talking about referendum doesn't mean that projects stop or that we wait for referendum to do projects. Again, paint and curb appeal, flooring, you know, are all things that Mr. Carter and I are focusing on as we close out this school year and start next school year. Flooring is not a quick or easy fix. A lot of the rooms where we need to do some of the flooring replacements, there's abatement of asbestos tile that has to be done before that can happen. So flooring, paint, and curb appeal are things that we're going to focus on this summer. And then, as you recall, when we passed the resolution for our budget a couple weeks ago, we had $2.5 million set aside through our capital projects fund to do some larger projects, to replace some of the exterior doors that are really in bad shape and can't wait to be replaced, to continue with our generator upgrades. Crawl space work at Barton School, which needs to be done, and we will talk about later tonight. Roofing repairs, where we have leaks, site work. And the thing that I'm excited about is our security prototype project at Barclay School. That's actually a project that we're going to start this year, actually in the next week or so. So what we decided, since security is a top priority through this referendum, is we decided to pick a school and set up what I would call a prototype. We chose Barclay for a couple reasons. One, it's our only early childhood center. Two, it has a lot of foot traffic. You know, when you're dropping off little ones, you don't just leave them at the door. You know, we have, you know, lots of parents coming in all the time. The proximity of the main office to the front entrance was another reason. And because Barclay is a fairly simple layout in terms of the building design, we felt that it would be a good school to really implement some of the security measures that we'd like to see, from vestibules to cameras, again, the swipe card access, all of that, so that we could put it in, work out the kinks, and when we go to referendum and we're ready to do this to all of our buildings, we have an idea of what we like, what we don't like, what works, and what doesn't. So again, as you can see there, that is the area that we're talking about, the front entrance there. We would install door access readers so that staff would have access using a swipe card at the main entrance. We'd also have it at some alternate entrances. So we know that sometimes staff will come in off of a parking lot entrance. We may have children dropped off at other entrances in the morning. We'll install swipe card access there as well. Interior and exterior cameras so that basically you can see around the entire building and throughout the entire building. Strobe lights in a multi-purpose room during lunch when people are, children are having lunch and it's noisy in that room, strobe lights so that if an alarm goes off, if there's an emergency, they can see the strobe lights in the event they can't hear the announcement. Strobe lights for the outside of the building as well. And then a security vestibule that we would build in that front entrance area that would divert all visitors to the main office. So every visitor that comes into the building is held in the security area, routed through the main office. Also a transactional window so that if you're a parent and you're just dropping off a lunch or you're dropping off sneakers or something that the child forgot that day, you can just exchange it through the transactional window and don't actually need to come into the building. So this is kind of a design here that we have from our architect, one of our early designs and what that would look like. And literally we would push back the second entrance doors, the area that says the vestibule would sort of be the holding area there, and then the main office would be redesigned a bit so that the traffic would come through that main office and then could be released into the building after they, talk to the main office staff, sign in, and it's decided where they need to go.
Thank you, Mrs. Sugars. Questions? For the board. Sure.
Sorry, I forgot. I really like the prototype idea. And Ms. Sugars, you indicated that work was starting on that soon?
Yes. So we currently are coming down the final steps of purchasing the technology for it with the cameras. We're doing that through some purchasing consortiums and state contract vendors. And then the vestibule piece of it is actually out to bid right now. And the bid award will be done at the June 13th board meeting so that we can start that work.
And is the expectation that I'll be ready to go for September?
We had hoped that that would happen. What we learned last week is that unfortunately some of the doors, the exterior doors, are a long lead item and will take about 12 weeks to get after they are approved. So we will have it substantially complete by September, but probably won't have it fully complete until October.
Thanks. That's it for now.
So this is a broad stroke presentation this evening. I ask because I was thinking that we were going to hear about full day kindergarten, maybe?
So it definitely is a broad stroke discussion, which is what the work was that we did this year. We've talked about a number of different possibilities. That's why kindergarten is the only specific grade level or content area that's listed in there for the curricular discussion.
So we'll hear about full day kindergarten at a future date.
So full day kindergarten absolutely is talking about discussion where we are. So ultimately, one of the things that will happen is we will ask the board to adopt a Cherry Hill 2020 plan that I expect will occur after the 1st of January of 2018. Some of that will be dependent upon the discussions that take place with the action steps the board goal that you guys will adopt, hopefully at the end of June, but which we'll work on during the June cycle. But it's part of the discussion that's there, because there are implications. If the decision is made to go to full-day kindergarten, there are real implications for what has to happen for that.
Okay, and one other question, which you might not have the answer to, but last I heard, there's about approximately 100 school districts in the state of New Jersey that do not have full-day kindergarten, the rest do. And there's rumor that perhaps one day the legislature will just mandate full-day kindergarten. Do you have any feelers out there? I do not either, with my guidance stakeholders connection.
Other than that, yes, that's a rumor that's there. That's a rumor that's been there as well. But no, I don't have any expectation. I don't expect anything to change in the next year at the soonest from the Department of Ed. So it would be a while. But no, I don't have any other than yes, it's out there. Sure.
Going along that theme for full-day kindergarten. So I know that there's been some ideas put out there, but are we going to be having the opportunity to explore different options that, as far as possibility, maybe even totally different building or new building or other kind of possibilities like that?
Absolutely, Mr. Goodwin. So full-day kindergarten, if the district decides, we decide they're going to put in full-day kindergarten, and again, I've said it in meetings before, if I were king, we'd be putting full-day kindergarten very quickly. We cannot put full-day kindergarten into the 12 elementary schools the way that they currently sit on the properties. So if we're going to do full-day kindergarten, there has to be a discussion of what does that look like. Is that when we put additions onto a lot of buildings? Do we build 1 new school, 6 new schools, 12 new schools? That's all part of the discussion, right? So space, money, and time are the 3 things that will influence what we decide to do. Sure.
So in the end, we are going to have a referendum, and the main reason for having this referendum is because in your mind, maybe if we complete all the projects, then the monetary impact will be very big, and will also, of course, impact the tax dollars the community pays. So in your mind, and how, if we approve all the things you plan to do, then in a rough figure, how much that you are actually talking about?
Well, it's a couple of things. Yes, that we're going to go to referendum because there's physical work that must be done, right? So we have 1.7 million square feet of classroom space. We have 21 buildings that we're responsible for about 355 acres of land that we have as a school district. There's work that must be done. We're going to hit a critical threshold with our facilities because, remember, the youngest building opened in 1970. So when we hit this plan of 2020, our youngest building will be 50 years old, which means the oldest building will be well over 60 years old. So there's work that has to be done. It's not just that I think there's $60 million worth of work. We heard from a committee, an ad hoc committee presented to the district in 2009 that identified a little over $200 million worth of work that they believe needed to be done in 2009, which is 8 years ago. So yes, there absolutely is work. As Mr. Sugar said, we believe based on what we currently pay towards our debt service that we can borrow about $60 million and not impact the tax rate at all. But part of the discussion, if we're going to go for referendum, do we go for one question? Do we go for multiple questions? How much money do we feel that we need to borrow? Because what's the plan, right? The plan has to inform how much money we're going to go out for. And I do say, I mean, we could spend probably $30 million easy on paving and concrete work and not do everything that we need to do in terms of paving and concrete. Sure.
Okay, I lost my train of thought. So give me a second.
I was just going to ask specifically around, will we start discussing specifics in June at the committee level? And how and which committee is going to be kind of dealing out all of the different pieces?
So ultimately, I don't believe we'll start discussing specifics in June, right, until we adopt that next board goal. At the committee meetings in June, you'll see on the agenda as a follow-up from this presentation to see if there's any content or specific questions related to that committee as a follow-up from what was here, and to help guide the discussion about what the board goal will be. It'll be more into July when we have the committee of the whole on July the 12th. On July the 11th, which is our first board meeting in July. There'll be more discussion there about specifics. Sure.
Beautiful. So, the last referendum that we had was in 1999. For how much money about? Less than 50, correct?
I would have to look.
52?
Yeah,
$52 million
that sounds
or so?
in round numbers.
In our reading that we had over the weekend with articles that were in the Courier Post and et cetera, that referendum had one prior to that in 30 years.
Correct.
So if we do this in 2018, that'll be like 2 referendums in 50 years. So, knowing Maple Shed, how many referendums did you experience?
We did 3 referendums in 6 years.
That's craziness. So I think that could be a great point to use. This will be the second referendum in almost 50 years.
60.
60 years.
1999 was almost 20 years ago.
Craziness. Okay. I was trying to do math tonight. Thank you.
That's why Mrs. Sugars is always
That's
with me.
right. That's right. That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Malash and Mrs. Sugars. Very well done. Okay. Now we'll move on to our school board representatives. We're going to do West first, but I understand Caitlin has to leave a little early, so we'll okay. There you go. West, you're up.
Thank you. Good evening. Okay, so as the school year comes to a close, the seniors begin to experience everything for one final time. With graduation so close, everyone has been enjoying all of the end of the year activities that come along every year in May. Last Friday was the West World Language Cook-Off Day, which was a great day full of great food. Many came, including a few board members, and everyone enjoyed a variety of international recipes that came out really well. The competition was especially fierce this year, many teams with amazing dishes and presentations. Everyone in attendance had a fantastic time. Yesterday was the annual Hall of Fame induction for West, and 11 students were awarded with this high honor in front of the senior class. This is a great moment of reflection and pride for the hard work and accomplishments of the class of 2017's best. It is a great way for the class to truly appreciate the effort and dedication of their friends and classmates of the last 4 years. Today, Tuesday, was West's annual blood drive. With many students participating, it was really nice to see a large group of the student body participating to help others' needs outside of our school community. The pilot internship at Virtua Hospital with West has finally come to a close this year, and I cannot begin to describe the impact that this program has had on my life in high school. It will be one of the most memorable parts for me personally in these 4 years. The benefits of it are profound and will affect me throughout my life, and I can say with confidence that all 10 of us are extremely grateful and will not forget it. We hope that this program continues and expands to possibly other areas such as business or engineering internships in the future. Seniors are now eagerly counting down the days until prom next week. West Senior Prom will be at the aquarium this year, which everyone's really excited about. And, everyone's excited to have one last school dance that will be fun and memorable for everyone at this great venue. And then graduation and project graduation will be the next 2 big events to follow, which seniors are beginning to feel the bittersweet feeling of the end of high school. Many are looking forward to this important day to complete the first large milestone of our lives. Project graduation will be one last time for us to be together as a class and create a few more memories. As everything begins to wrap up, the class of 2017 begins to reflect. We are all extremely proud of all of our accomplishments and feel we have served West throughout our high school careers. We hope we have created a small impact in our school community that we will not be forgotten after graduation day. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from East.
So just like at West, East seniors are getting very excited for some of the end of the year activities. Our senior prom is the same day as West senior prom. So I know Bernard's is already scared for all of the girls to come. And ours is going to be in Philly at the V, and people are very excited for that. We also have the week following prom, we have our yearbook signing, our senior skating night, and that's the last issue of East Side. That's when that will come out. And this is our most popular issue because our senior superlatives are in that issue. And so there's been 2 rounds of voting, and the seniors really want to know, and it's been top secret so far. And there's over 100 superlatives, and we have teacher superlatives as well. So people really love checking out that issue. A couple other recognitions that have been going on. As you know, many of East students qualified for National Merit finalists. Some of them chose to then go through an application process, and 2 of our seniors have been awarded a $2,500 scholarship because of that, which is great. It will go towards their education, and it just is another example of a recognition at East. Something that recently happened was our first movie night under the stars at East that the SGA held. They brought a big inflatable screen, and they played Jurassic World, and we had food trucks come, and it was a really popular event that SGA is definitely going to continue again next year. Today was also our last blood drive of the year, which is another very popular event. Everyone walks around wearing the stickers and their Band-Aids all day long. Tomorrow, I definitely recommend coming to East for the Pavas Art Show, where it brings together all the different forms of art at East. There's going to be students with sculpture displays, some with photography displays. There's going to be musicians there playing, and the inductions are going to happen at 7, but the art show is from 6 to 8. And it's going to be really cool. Students wait all year for this. They've been competing for areas for display because we ran out of areas. So they're coming 6 a.m. tomorrow to fight for a display. Speaking of East Side, I brought a whole big stack, but then I saw that you already have them. So definitely check that out because the East-West divide has been a much discussed topic lately, and that's, as I mentioned, that's what our editorial features on. So I just wanted to give a little quote from the editorial, but definitely read the whole thing if you haven't yet. And there's some other really good opinion pieces and news pieces in there that pertain to the district. But a quote is, "Ultimately, East Side believes that the East-West division is feared more so by the administration and the parents than by Cherry Hill students themselves. In the effort to offer students the same experience regardless of which school they choose to attend, administration is essentially reducing the quality of education and activities all around by tampering with existing programs. While an ambitious, driven Cherry Hill student will succeed in our district regardless of his or her path, Eastside feels that he or she can only benefit from the exposure provided by the unique established programs available at each high school." So there's a lot more in there in the Eastside, so definitely read this whole issue. Now, I believe this may be the last meeting that Molly and I will be speaking at because we just elected our new BOE representatives at East, and they are Representative Josh Stodikoff with Alternative Lauren Atkin, and I've known the 2 of them for the past few years, and they are definitely the best people for this job. I remember the first time that I was here last winter to talk about my passion for the science department at East, and since that night I've learned so much about how our district functions and makes decisions, and it's going to be great to pass it on to 2 upcoming seniors. It has been an honor to represent Cherry Hill East student body. I've participated in a lot of activities at East, but being Board of Ed representative was one of my favorite. Initially, I feared that I would have little say in district decisions, but I would like to thank all of you for opening up your eyes, ears, and hearts to the voices of the students. This past year has demonstrated all that we can accomplish when we work together, and I ask that you continue to keep the conversations open. Please continue to receive student feedback prior to making decisions through town halls and other outreaches. We've taken a step in the right direction with the recent 2020 vision discussions and all of the ways that students have been coming to the board meetings. So please continue to present major ideas in such a manner so that students do come out to speak, because it's definitely more exciting when a lot of people show up. So thank you so much for caring about our district, and it has been a pleasure to be East Board of Ed rep.
Thank you both for your usual wonderful reports, and thank you for your service to the board. We appreciate hearing about what's going on in the schools and your opinions. Thank you very much. All right, at this time, we'll have our first public discussion. Your comments must be regarding items on the action agenda only. When you come to the mic, please state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes for your remarks. Please note that the green light will turn yellow when you have 30 seconds remaining. The light will turn red when your 3 minutes are up. And Cherry 2020 is not on the action agenda. That'll be later. It's on the agenda. Action agenda only.
Transfers on the action agenda? Yes, that's what I need to know.
Signed up in the beginning? That we signed our names on?
I have the list, yes.
Oh, okay. That's what we're going to do.
That's gonna, if you're gonna come to speak about anything that has to do with the Cherry Hill 2020, that'll be in the second public comment, period.
Actually, I don't know how to turn this on. It's on? Okay. Sherry Cohen, 328 Longstone Drive, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I want to thank the board for serving on the board, because for those of you in the public don't know, you are on the front lines of asking the right questions and asking any question that you could think of that the audience and the public would want to know. And I know it's really difficult, and I appreciate everything you do. Looking at two of the draft policies that you guys are going to vote on policy 5460, the high school graduation requirements. I know they're very similar to what has been in the past. I am specifically questioning number 9, where it says at least 5 credits in the 21st century, life and careers or career technology education. Would be interested in finding out what specifically counts. I know in the past, the creative arts requirements, the 5 credits in visual and performing arts, they stretched so that kids wanted to do journalism, didn't do music or art. That fell in, but I'm not quite sure how this piece will fit in to the current high school schedule. I also want to know under number 10, the technology literacy that has integrated throughout the curriculum, if there is going to be measures set up for that. And then on policy number 2464, for the gifted and talented students, it says a comprehensive program, kindergarten through 12th grade. In the past, we've always, middle school has sort of, at least in my mind, fallen on the wage side. And since it says, clearly states in this policy, it's going to be kindergarten through 12th, I was wondering what policies were being implemented in the middle schools. Thank you.
Mrs. Scott, if you give Mrs. Wilson your contact information, Dr. Campisi will follow up with you.
When you come up, could you also point out which agenda item that you're addressing?
Oh, transfers. Okay. My name is Lorraine Miller. I come to speak tonight based upon an issue that is very dear to my heart. I am appealing to the Board of Education members to do their justice to combat the injustice of transferring a successful principal to another location. This injustice is to Mrs. Woodruff's supportive staff, but most importantly, to the students that she serves who are devastated at her untimely transfer. This leaves the students feeling abandoned and not understanding the justification for such a removal. Thank you for making Stockton successful. So now, to show my appreciation, I am going to transfer you from your beloved school. Does this really make any sense? No. I look to the current board members to take a stand to the superintendent now and say no to the reassignment of these principals. Effective leadership comes with opposition of all sorts. Our most historical leaders had opposition such as Martin Luther King, Simon Sotomayor, among others. Effective leaders always have some opposition, and that is one of the reasons that these leaders are successful. But we should not judge these leaders on their opposition, but on their achievements. This brings me to the current Stockton principals' achievements, which are a vast amount. I will highlight as many as time will allow, and have also provided each board member with a copy of more information so you may review it for yourself. Mrs. Woodruff has been at Stockton School for 10 years. This has garnered continued success for the students, primarily based upon stability. Students thrive under a stable environment, which is a proven success. Stockton has been recognized as a National School of Character twice, most recently this current year. She has developed and incorporated a Kairos Heroes program that has flourished throughout the school. I have seen this personally through my grandsons. The music programs have thrived under her leadership. The students have reached national level, South Jersey Chorus and the National Children's Choir. She also created a music day at West, where children could learn musical pieces well enough to perform at a concert that evening. My grandson was a very excited participant in this wonderful musical opportunity. Mrs. Woodruff brought the iReady program to the district and piloted it in her school. This shows courage because the program could have been a failure, but it was and still is a success. This was a great initiative to incorporate technology in the classroom and to broaden into the differentiated instruction piece even more academically for students.
I'm going to have to ask you to stop there, Mrs. Miller.
She has developed school leadership teams, and I have more. You can read the packets, and you will see the achievements. And I just wish that you would take into consideration my concerns. Thank you.
Really fast. It just came to my attention this morning that on the agenda for tonight is to abolish the, my name, Jessica Weinberg, 22 Whitby Road, Cherry Hill. The abolishment of the early graduation policy that was just adopted a year ago. And my daughter is actually going to be the beneficiary of that policy this July. And my concern is that it doesn't state anywhere if that is going to be abolished this evening, whether or not students who are already in the process of graduating early will be grandfathered in. It also doesn't clarify for future students, not just my daughter, whether or not the testing system with the park, it states that you could substitute another test approved by the commissioner, but it doesn't state what those tests are in order to substitute for the park, passing the park exams. Anywhere. I mean, I looked all through the policy booklets today. So, I'm concerned about the sort of vague references.
Would you suggest your contact information? Dr. Campisi will follow up. There will be clarification later in the meeting when they discuss.
Okay.
But Mrs. Wilson can take your contact information.
Good evening. My name is Maria Ferrante, 517 Lincoln Drive. I'm going to start with, it's going to be the Stockton transfer of Ms. Woodruff. And I believe they're starting my time early, they're really the full time. So we're letting you know now. Let's redirect the focus to Ms. Woodruff's major accomplishments, which is a partnership that she created with the Lecture Family School in Cambridge. Some of you may not be aware of this. This partnership began 2 years ago. It was designed to bridge the gap between suburban and urban education. This partnership incorporates administrator, teacher, and student collaboration. The administrators visit each other's schools to utilize a variety of strategies to make each school thrive. Stockton is viewed as the model school. The leadership teachers would shadow the Stockton teachers and be trained on various professional developments together. Then they would collaborate with one another and exchange ideas to use at each other's schools. The students had pen pals to incorporate the inclusion of diversity and culture. This is of great importance because Stockton, according to demographics, is considered the least diversified school in the district. This was a cross-cultural initiative by bringing together two different cultures to celebrate and become one. It's also helped the Stockton teachers to promote a shared ethical and performance-based values visible and comprehensively for the students. This is shown through the cultural and proficiency character education work, which is also connected to this board's initiatives on the website. This partnership is set to move to the community this coming year to really focus more on the diversity and cultural aspect. This partnership will not be able to exist with the transfer of Miss Woodruff. This will have a drastic effect not just on the Stockton students, but also their sister school students at Yorkshire Family School. Yorkshire was also awarded a School of Kindness this year, as well as Stockton. I will also note that Stockton School was just approved by the Camden Board of Education to host another partnership by utilizing Stockton as a model school for the Women's College Prep School in Camden. This partnership is set to end at the end of this year and to focus more from the upcoming school year. All these partnerships lead the district into a positive light, especially because the partnerships are slated to run a classroom close-up this December. This is a great way to show how the China School District is working on combating the racial and cultural divide of our past. It started with ragtime. Now let's prove to the public that it will continue through these partnerships, which will not work without Ms. Woodruff at the helm. I will conclude with two major facts. The first fact is simply school success starts with the leader at the top. The leader empowers her staff, which in turn equals success of the students. This positive learning environment is what a safe model school is considered. Let's not take a chance or step backward by transferring a highly effective leader with a proven successful track record to another school. Instead, I propose to utilize this leader as a continued model to benefit the struggling schools in the district to success. The second fact is a mother of 3 sons. I like the fact that my sons are able to see a Hispanic woman as a successful leader of their school. This is an important fact in a white, male-dominated society who can have tendencies to marginalize people from extra time.
The current case regarding the transfer. So to the board members, I ask you, this transfer news of the principal transfer. Thank you for your time.
We have a lot of people who speak this evening. You're going to get 3 minutes, but you only get 3 minutes. We need a proper level of decorum in the room, and you cannot speak beyond your time.
Good evening. My name is Ray I'm a political advisor in Canada. I'm an educational activist in the city of Camden as well as the state. I'm here because of the partnership. The partnership is very essential to our children in Camden. When those guys know or not, we're fighting off the charter school. I'm speaking on the partnership between the transfer of Miss Woodrow from Stockton School and Stockton Elementary School. The partnership that we have between Yorkshire Elementary School and Camden that was created by her and Miss Ferrante, who is a strong educator in the city of Camden. Now, this partnership is developed for our children so that they can excel, and excel they are. So in order to from the current school ourselves at presently would stop our children from developing. And one thing I want to say to you is we're fighting off the charter schools. So public education is essential to us in the city of Camden. I want you guys to know that we are aware of the fact that you guys are paying over $300,000 to the city of Camden. I want to realize that being done when we have a district here that is excelling more than any other district in the state of New Jersey. And why would you say that children that are Camden are underserviced and undereducated? Because that's what's been going on in the charter schools. Okay? So I urge you to advise your parents to keep their children in their own school district. And I know when we say the kids to these charter schools, look at the data. I bet you that October 15th is in the neck. Because I know that's what your children about the money. We know that the money stays with the children after October the 15th. So if the parents are all going to learn this and learn, those guys are going to come into the public school district because the charter school is not going to service it. Okay? So I'm going to urge you to keep the principal in mind. Because you're going to come to Mrs. Woodruff. And that's what I'm going to answer. I'm going to urge you to keep the partnership with Camden. Because I'm going to tell you right now, pretty soon you'll be down the road with that fight off the charter schools. Please stop proud of my people.
Hello, my name is Alicia Lerman, 45 Wagon Lane. My two children go to Joyce Kilmer Elementary School, and I'm speaking on behalf of the transfer of Miss Tiernan. My oldest daughter, who's in 3rd grade, has special needs, and I know of another parent who's also concerned, and I've talked to other people whose children go to Kilmer, and we all feel like my 3rd grader started when Miss Tiernan came, and I'm voicing my concern for keeping Miss Rebecca Tiernan at Kilmer. She's done wonderful things with all the children. I can just speak of my 2 children that go there, and she knows. I'm very scared for next year for when she leaves, because she knows what classes to put my kids in with, what the staff. It's just a really well-run school, and I'm concerned about her being transferred because she has done so many good things, and I'm asking you to keep her at Kilmer, and I know that other people feel the same way, that we don't want her to leave our school. She's an excellent principal, and she's well respected within the staff, and the parents also feel, and I'm speaking on behalf as a parent of a special needs child, and I think that switching her to another school after she has made, in the 4 years, some really good headway, just when she's getting into the good of what she's done. And then speaking on the transfer of the Stockton principal, I actually used to teach Yorkshire too, just like Miss Ferrante, and I can tell you that what I've heard about the program that is at Stockton and with Yorkshire is a excellent program. It is needed, the connection between Cherry Hill to bridge the gap between these Camden children, because I taught there for 8 years, and I still see some of my kids that are going to college, and they need that connection with the school district. And the things that I've heard that have been going on between the 2 schools is very promising, and I think that moving her to another school would disrupt all the benefit they've done. And I know that with the 8 years that I was there, they need this, just like the kids at Stockton need this too. They need to learn about different cultures and all of the things that's going there. So my conclusion is that I'm asking you to consider keeping Miss Tiernan there, because I'll be honest, my daughter was in tears. I was in tears because she has done so much for my children, and I really don't want to see her go, and she is a great principal. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aram Khan, and I live on 227 Hadley Drive in Cherry Hill. I'm very scared of public speaking, but this was very important, so I gathered courage, and here I am. Before I start, I just wanted to say my heartfelt sympathies at this tragic, horrific attack in Manchester. May all the goodness and humanity prevail, and the victims start healing and rebuilding. Children are our life, and I'm here for that reason. I'm here to support that Mrs. Woodruff stay at Stockton. And I will start with this incident that happened with my daughter, who's a 1st grader. She came from school one day and told me that her classmate told her that she's not an American because she's brown. This broke my heart, and I explained to her that she's every bit an American as her other classmates, and also that she's born in Florida. Next day, when she was getting ready for school, she refused to go to school and started crying. And on questioning, she said that her classmate told her that even if she is born in Florida, since her mom is brown, she can never be American. My daughter said to me, "Mom, why couldn't you be born in America and look like my friend's mom?" I was really sad, and I called the school and I spoke to the teacher. I was told that this had been going on for a little bit, and the guidance counseling team was informed. Next day, I heard a bullying case was started, and the bullying was confirmed. Mrs. Woodruff is a fair principal, doesn't bow down to any color, money, or title. She's a very strong leader, compassionate, honest, and holds everyone accountable for their actions. Some parents of the PTA feel that the bullying incidents should be just thrown under the rug and are rallying about that, but I think that if we look at the CDC's record of suicides related to bullying, which is 4,400 deaths per year, we need to keep our hearts and minds together, to work together, to keep the principal in the school who is making sure that these bullying incidents are taken care of. Please keep our principal in Stockton, to keeping Stockton a safe haven, a fair school, a model school, where you're free to be who you are. Let's work together to keep this diverse and fair principal, and I agree times have changed. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Arshad Hussain. I live on 227 Hadley Drive. That was my wife. It's tough to follow her speech, but I'll try. I'm speaking on the same issue to keep Mrs. Woodruff as where she is right now. Feel very strong about it. As a parent, I just want you to give you a personal story as what's going on. And I want you guys to wear a parent's hat rather than a board member's hat. It's going to be difficult. Well, of you as well. As a superintendent, I know you have many other issues that you run, and I completely understand being in a corporate environment, working for several years. But just to let you know my story, my son is a special needs kid, and he had the opportunity, he's in 3rd grade, and he had the opportunity of going to 3 schools, fortunately, unfortunately, just the way we moved around. And he had an experience. He went to Sharp, he went to Bret Hart, and finally in Stockton. At Bret Hart, he had a terrible experience. I used to feel my heart, I didn't know what to do because he used to come home crying in the evening and say, I just don't want to go to school. I don't feel welcome out there. And I spoke to the principal, I spoke to the staff members, in fact, included the Cherry Hill district, one of the members, I don't recall her name, but this was not going anywhere. I was asking for some accommodations. They just didn't understand what it was about. My son was always saying, just not fair. And I couldn't understand as well what he meant, it's just not fair. And after, after giving up, I thought I reached a dead end with Bret Hart. And then I said, you know what it may be, I'll just get an attorney and I'm ready to sue and I'm ready to go at Cherry Hill District. I said, whatever it takes, my son, I can't see him crying in the evening. And then, by grace of God, we got a letter saying, hey, you're back, you got your Stockton school and you can join Stockton. So I just took a step back and took an opportunity to meet the principal. And after meeting the principal, it was like eye-opener out there. What she had to offer. And it's been a year. My son has had incidents, but he's come back home happy. He's not has tears in his eyes, and it's just as he says, quote unquote, that the principal is so good that she would talk to even the dumb kids, quote ended. But this just goes to say that her character.
I'm sorry, I got to stop you there, Mr. Hussain.
Her character is so strong, and her things that she brings to the table.
I have to stop you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Monique Radsell from Camden, New Jersey. I'm a parent and a resident there. And today I would like to request for Cherry Hill Board of Education to reconsider the reassignment of Richard Stockton Principal and Ms. Woodrow. I don't know her personally. However, I am aware of her commitment and dedication to our partnership with our Yorkshire Square Elementary School. Many of you may not be aware of that. Our partnership consists of clothes donations, pen pals, school visits, books, and collaboration with educators, teachers, and students. In Camden, we are under a state takeover, in which our parents, the residents, the community, has no transparency, no decision of what happens to our children and for education or reform. So we have lost partnerships, shared programs, many things that are hard to come by. And we cherish this partnership with the Richmond Stockman's Elementary School. So I'm getting kind of emotional here. So if we think about what's going on now with us in America, we have a crisis in our education with Betsy DeVos. We also have Order 45 who believes in privatization. The only power we have in Camden is partnerships with other schools and other districts that has no cost to no board, no cost to your board, no cost to our board. I am proud to say that Ms. Woodruff agreed to help, and we would love her to continue to help. Our children lost educators, support staff, programs, shared services, schools. They are vulnerable, and we don't want to keep reventing the same well. Please don't take away our partnership, and please don't reassign Mrs. Woodrow. Thank you very much.
Okay, Frederick Dande, 7 Woodbury Drive. What you have in your hand is a petition that was signed by parents, and I do have 26 more signatures that parents signed. The one you have was signed online. This was signed at the school. The topic is transfers. I would say my story is sad because our principal has been fired. Ms. Taylor is no longer going to be with Cooper effective July 1st. I had a speech, but I'm not going to read it. The reason why I'm not going to read it is because the parents spoke and the community spoke. And when I walked into this room, I read that. Children first. To the board members, this is from the parents. You have it with you. We gave copies to everybody who was here, who took it, and I will go ahead and read it because I still have time. These are from the parents and the community. Ms. Taylor was a great addition to an elementary school that was previously left with poor leadership and multiple changes over the years. She smiled, she knew the kids' names, she made an avid supporter of the PTA events. We felt the school district all together, and now I'm watching from an outside perspective about Cherry Hill schools and what is going on. I see a change going in the wrong direction. Parents, keep up the fight for your children and their education. Bring Ms. Taylor back. Ms. Taylor is the best. My children has come a long way with her help. She is very kind and respectful. We need Ms. Taylor at Cooper for the benefit of our children to be a better citizen. Please consider this request. My son is a former Cooper student. Ms. Taylor came along at a time when the students and the teachers needed her most. My son actually hated going to school the year before Ms. Taylor came to Cooper, and she changed that for him, making 5th grade the best year for him. She is a wonderful, fair, and personable principal that Cooper needs. Please let her stay. Ms. Taylor had been a huge asset to the school. She truly cares about their well-being and happiness, and on a regular basis strives to make a school a better place for everyone. We all have a copy of this. I'm not going to take everybody's time because I know there's some people that want to talk. But what I will say is, when I told my son, a 2nd grader at Cooper, that Ms. Taylor is not going to be in that school, he asked me, why is she being fired? And I think Dr. Meloch can give us an answer. Why is Ms. Taylor being fired? We don't know that. The rumor was the school district is carrying costs. I think it does not reflect that costs are being cut because on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I want to talk about the transfer of Miss Woodruff.
Could you give us your name and address?
Yes, my name is James Rodriguez. I live in Fairview of Camden, so I always jog across the street when I'm jogging through the elementary, so I see the neighborhood. I also had kids that went to Fairview. But first I'd like to say I'm with Black Lives Matter. I'm also with NAACP. I'm also a lector in my community of my church. and I'm also with knowing the community as well. The Woodruff transfer, the thing that gets me is she's been there for 2 years. Bridging the gap between cultures is a very good thing. With especially with what happened with this election with Donald Trump and everything, everybody is being divided. This is a way of showing togetherness between communities. I really feel that we need to keep going with this gravitating together, as this would show division. If Miss Woodruff was to leave, how would this program be looked at as being taken off the market? You know what I'm saying? It might not be around anymore because of her, or someone might not be able to put in the work that she actually put in to it. They might not know what to do if you plan on actually canceling the whole program completely. So for me to see where we at right now in 2017 with the way the world is going, and with your community and my community, it's all good. We're all in this together as one. Let's prove a point that we can be together as one. From children from our neighborhood, from children to your neighborhood. That's all I have to say. All right.
Hi, my name is Susan Druckenbrode. My address is 162 Valley Run Drive in Cherry Hill. And I'm here to support the Stockton parents as well. I'm really impressed that there is this partnership between Cherry Hill and Camden. The kids in Camden don't have the privileges that our kids do have here, and I think it's important for that cross-cultural communication between the kids. I don't think that another principal would be able to come in and immediately continue that program and replicate it and make it as strong as it is now. So I support having that principal there, and I hope that you reconsider your decision. Thank you.
Can I go? Can I speak now?
Yes, you may.
My name is Nina Zucker. I live at 509 Gatewood Road in Cherry Hill, but I am one of the English language learner teachers at Clara Barton School. Dr. Malash and I are good Twitter friends. And I just had prepared something earlier that I think is applicable to now, and that is the school that I teach in. I am privileged to have a faculty.
Can you tell us which agenda item this is referring to?
Well, it's about I don't have an item on the agenda, other than I just would like to speak to a Title I school that represents.
Okay, you're going to have to come back at the second public comment for that.
Okay.
Yeah, which will be later. Hopefully not much later.
Yes, we will.
Drive. I'll be very, very quick. I'm not even affected by this change personally, but I've heard a lot of passionate pleas this evening from other parents. But what they didn't ask, and Frederick did ask, why? Why are we moving these principals? Why are we letting the principal go and creating upheaval in 3 separate schools? Why? Thanks.
Okay, anything else on the agenda? No? Seeing one? Okay. We will move into superintendent comments. Turn it over to Dr. Malash.
Thank you, Dr. Dickinson. So just a few things, and I will be brief. As Dr. Dickinson mentioned, Dr. Dickinson and Dr. Chapman and I traveled to Rider University last Friday for the New Jersey State Character Ed Awards. We had schools that were honored on Friday, and we were honored as a school district. In fact, if you looked in the hallway in the lobby when you came in, is our State District of Character. We were awarded a State District of Character by the Character Ed Partnership. We're one of 2 school districts in the state of New Jersey this year to receive that award. We received an honorable mention at the national level, and we will get feedback from the national level. There were 7 districts in the country this year that received the national district. So we have a plaque, that we will hang. We have the banner that's out front. We have a proclamation from Senator Beach, to honor the school district in terms of, what it was and to recognize us for that award. Also on Friday, Dr. Dickinson mentioned Russell Wright and Bret Hart received their State School of Character Awards, and they have their new banners and their plaques and certificates as well. Also, Keller Elementary School and Sharp Elementary School were recognized as emerging schools of character, an honorable mention type piece. They did not receive the award this year, but they were recognized. Mrs. Tiernan was able to join us on Friday as well. And the National Schools of Character, we had 3 schools that were recognized this year, and the formal announcement actually took place today down at the Dirksen Senate Building, Washington. And Dr. Rickensrud, who has led a lot of the work in the application process, represented Cherry Hill and participated on the panel discussion down in the Senate Building. So we put some pictures out, and as far as I can tell, he actually behaved himself while he was there, which we all kind of went over for him with what it was. But we had Stockton was recognized again this year. They were recertified as a National School of Character, and Rosa Middle School was also recertified as a National School of Character. Those 2 schools joined Crucy Middle School, which was recertified last year, which is our first school in the district that was certified twice as a National School of Character. So some tremendous work throughout the school district with what's going on and with what's been done. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Mona Noyes. Mona Noyes is sitting in the audience. She worked with us formally for years as an employee of the school district. She continues to work with us as an advisor and a consultant and a sage to each of the schools. The other exciting thing when we go up to the Character Ed, yes, thank you, Mona. When we go up to the state organization, Mrs. Kemps, Nina Kemps, who retired as the librarian at Rosa, she's one of the leaders of the state organization. Mr. Frankowitz, who is a teacher and assistant principal in the district, is also involved in the different activities as well as Mona. So we're very grateful and very proud of the work that the schools have done. I'm grateful for Molly and Kimberly for sharing what they talked about. Molly talked about not a whole lot of time left. After tonight, starting tomorrow, there's only 17 more days of school, which is not a lot of days in one sense of where we are. 17 more days. We'll formally finish the academic year with students on Friday, the 16th of June. Also on Friday, the 16th, we'll have our 3 middle schools will host their graduation ceremonies. Rosa, Beck will graduate from High School East in the morning, Crucy in the morning at High School West, Rosa in the afternoon at High School East. On Thursday, on June 15th, High School East and High School West will graduate at the Leah Chorus Center over in Philadelphia. It'll be a wonderful ceremony. For parents and community members, if you have not seen the ceremony, I know both PTAs are always looking for volunteers to help out in the collection of cap and gowns, as well as helping out at Project Graduation, which is that evening. Project Graduation, which Mona Noyes brought to the district in 1991 when she ran the PTA at High School West. So it's gone on for all of these years. It's a drug and alcohol-free evening. It's a safe environment. The majority of the kids in the class participate. High School East holds theirs at the Racket Club. High School West holds theirs at the JCC. But they're always looking for volunteers. So if there's parents of children who are not yet in the high school or are not yet seniors, they're always looking for volunteers to go through. So I encourage you to volunteer. And just go out, be involved in where we go and what goes on. See the schools. There's still some concerts left at the end of this year at the high schools and I believe at some of the middle schools. So that's where we are.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Malash. Let's get some business done. Moving to our action agenda for this evening. Mrs. Seidel, would you move the CNI agenda, please?
I sure will. Thank you, Dr. Dickinson. The superintendent recommends and I move the following. Number 1, resolution approving agreements for the 2017-2018 school year. Number 2, approval of attendance at conferences and workshops for the 2016-2017 and 2017-2018 school years. Number 3, approval of out-of-district student placements for the 2016-2017 school year. And number 4, first reading of revised policies. Can I have a second? Mrs. Judge, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars.
Mrs. Seidel.
Yes to all.
Mr. Goodwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Judge.
Yes to all.
Mrs. Matlack.
Yes.
Mrs. Scarpolino.
Yes to all.
Mrs. Schultz.
Yes to all.
Mr. Tomlinson.
Yes to all.
Dr. Wong.
Yes to all.
Dr. Dickinson.
Yes to all. Mr. Goodwin, would you read the BOE agenda, please?
Yes, I will. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following. A, approval of appointments. B, approval of reaffirmation of policies, actions, rules, and regulations. C, approval of resolution, education services. D, approval of resolution, board meeting advertisements. E, approval of bank accounts and bank signators. F, approval of tax receipt schedule. And 1, financial reports. 2, resolutions. 3, resolution of award of bids. 3, resolution of award for transportation contract route bids. 5, resolution of the award of transportation. And 6, acceptance of donations. Do I have a second? Mrs. Matlack, are there any questions?
Mr. Goodwin, could I highlight a few items, please?
Absolutely.
Before we do the roll call vote. You'll notice tonight on the agenda the award of a bid for the Barton Crawl Space project, which is a project that we have been talking about. We had the bid opening this week, and unfortunately, we did not have any bidders. So we were very disappointed, but we, and I see Mr. Middleton in the audience, so Mr. Middleton, jump in at any moment. We spoke to some of the potential contractors, and the issue seemed to be the amount of plumbing work that needs to be done with that project. Most of the plumbers are booked for the summer. So we met and discussed it. We met with Mr. Sweeney, and we have decided to repackage the project as a fall project and have it done as second shift work. We know that's not ideal, but we feel at this point that we do not want to wait until next summer to do this work, and that the plumbers will be done with their summer work at that point, and will be looking for a fall project. So for now, the anticipation is that that bid will go back out at the end of July, hopefully to be awarded in August, with work to start in September and to be finished hopefully by winter break. Did I miss anything, Mr. Middleton? And we have a few modifications to the transportation bid award. Most of the modifications are minor. The biggest piece is on the other side. The ESY out of district, in and out of district award, bid number 1718-6. We had originally done those cost estimates based on estimated days. Our transportation department went back and revised it for actual days. This is for our out-of-district special ed placements, and each school has a different number of days. So she went back and revised that for us. I'm happy to say that I really overestimated, and she brought the numbers down significantly, so that was good news. But that's the major revision that was made to this resolution.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? If not, Mrs. Sugars.
Mr. Goodwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Judge.
I need to abstain on the bill list regarding the Cooper Health System. Yes to the rest.
Mrs. Matlack.
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel.
I need to abstain with respect to CDW on the bill list. Yes to the rest.
Mrs. Scarpolino.
Yes to all.
Mrs. Schultz.
I need to abstain on the bill list to Beata Home Health. Yes to the rest.
Mr. Tomlinson.
Abstaining from Bancroft NeuroHealth on the bill list. Yes to the remainder.
Dr. Wong,
Yes.
Dr. Dickinson.
Yes to all. Mrs. Judge, would you move the HR agenda, please?
Yes, I will, Dr. Dickinson. Thank you. The superintendent recommends and I move the following. Number 1, termination of employment certificated. Number 2, termination of employment non-certificated. Number 3, appointment certificated. Number 4, appointments non-certificated. Number 5, leaves of absence certificated. Number 6, leaves of absence non-certificated. Number 7, assignment salary change certificated. Number 8, assignment salary change non-certificated. Number 9, other compensation certificated. Number 10, approval of revised job descriptions. Number 11, other motions. And number 12, other motions. Do I have a second? Mrs. Matlack. Any questions? Mrs. Schultz.
Do we know what's going to go on with the partnership and how that's going to continue?
The partnership between Stockton
I'm sorry,
and-
yeah, with Stockton and Camden.
I don't have anything to share tonight, no.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars.
Mrs. Judge,
Yes to all.
Mr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Matlack,
Yes to all.
Mrs. Seidel,
Yes.
Mrs. Scarpellino,
Yes.
Mrs. Schultz.
No.
Mr. Tomlinson,
Yes.
Dr. Wong,
Abstain.
Dr. Dickinson.
Yes to all. We'll turn the microphone over to Dr. Malash.
Thank you, Dr. Dickinson. In light of the approvals of the new hire that you just made, it's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Bonnie Minjan. Bonnie, if you'd walk up to the podium. Bonnie was hired this evening as the new supervisor of pupil services. This is a new position that was created in the Office of Pupil Services for this year. We're thrilled for Bonnie to join us. Bonnie has an undergraduate degree from Rutgers University in English and Secondary Ed. She has a master's degree in Student Personnel Services and a master's degree in Ed Leadership. And her graduate degrees are from Rowan and from Wilmington University. She began her career as an English teacher, spent 16 years as a guidance counselor, and then has spent the last 3 years as a supervisor of pupil services. So we're thrilled for her to join the team in the Pupil Services Office with Mrs. Wethington and the 3 supervisors in special education. So, Ms. Bonnie Minjan.
Thank you, board members, administration. Thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to working in this district and serving the families and the parents. Just seeing some of the students that have spoken tonight, I'm already impressed, and I'm more impressed that my husband was able to make this meeting leaving New York right when the board meeting started, and he made it on time, so thank you. Thank you again, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you.
Okay. Is that an agenda item I see, Mrs. Matlack, for strategic planning?
Yes, I'm very excited, but we'll do P&L first.
Sorry, so anxious to be able to say
I'm so
that.
excited that strategic planning has an agenda item.
Mrs. Scarpelli, would you move to P&L agenda, please?
I will. I'll do it quickly so we can get to strategic planning. The superintendent recommends and I move the following. Number 1, first reading of policies. Number 2, abolishment of policy. And number 3, approval of revised 2017, 2018, and 2018, 2019 district calendars. Number 4, approval of harassment, intimidation, bullying investigation decisions. Do I have a second? Mrs. Seidel, are there any questions? Just before we move on, just to address item number 2, and Dr. Campisi, if I don't have this right, please jump in and correct me. There was a question about the abolishment of this policy, and the reason for that is the administrator code that required issuance of diplomas to a student who met the requirements under this policy that's being abolished, 5465, has been updated and incorporated into Section F of Policy 5460, high school graduations. So that is the reason why this policy is being abolished. It's basically redundant now. So, any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes, Mr. Wong.
On item 3, the calendar, it says that has been approved on June 28, 2016, but why we approved it, those calendars again? Any changes?
Yes, there's a change to each of the calendars. In both the 17-18 calendar and the 18-19 calendar, there's an in-service day that was scheduled for the 3rd Monday in October. Columbus Day is the 2nd Monday in October. The zone PTA brought a question as to if there was a reason that we weren't having the in-service on Columbus Day. It was a hardship on some of the families who were off on Columbus Day and then would have to work the next day. So we moved the in-service day to the 2nd Monday in October. So the in-service days in October 2017 and October 2018 will both be on Columbus Day.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars?
Mrs. Scarpellino?
Yes to all.
Mr. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mrs. Judge?
Yes to all.
Mrs. Matlack?
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel?
Yes.
Mrs. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Tomlinson?
Yes.
Dr. Wong?
Yes.
Dr. Dickinson?
Yes to all. Now, Mrs. Matlack, would you move the strategic planning agenda?
I certainly will. The superintendent recommends and I move the following. Number 1, approval of new mission statement. Do I have a second? Mrs. Judge, do we have any questions or comment on the new mission statement? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars.
Mrs. Matlack?
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mrs. Judge?
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel?
Yes.
Mrs. Scarpellino?
Yes.
Mrs. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Tomlinson?
Yes.
Dr. Wong?
Yes.
Dr. Dickinson?
Yes. Okay. Now we'll move on to our second public discussion. You may now comment on any issue. When you come to the mic, again, please state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes for remarks. And it's great that so many people are here. Just let it be known that we're actually here 2 Tuesdays every single month. So, please come back. It's good to have company in the room. Yeah. If there are any, there's a child. If there are any other children in the room, we're going to have them come up first so that they can get home. And for those of you who have not been here before, this is your opportunity for public comment. It's your opportunity to share your thoughts on whatever it is you're here for. It's not really a back and forth with the board. We don't really address comments tonight, okay? But we will follow up on things as needed. So, name and address, please.
My name is Eva Becker, and I live at 7 Dumbarton Road, Cherry Hill, and, well, my mom doesn't write this for me, and just tell me where. I know some people are trying to turn their schools into kindergarten centers in the district of schools. I also know that there's not enough benefits for adults, but us kids have a totally different perspective of this plan. We don't want it to go into effect, and we want to stop it. And we're talking about this part of the plan. I think the kids should take equality one step at a time, and since kindergarten is the first time most people start learning things like math, maybe kindergarten might not
hoping the kids start learning because it might be too much for them. Most kids have lots of friends too. They're even best friends. If the schools are districted, kids from London and kids from another town might not go to school together. And in the case of those kids being friends, that isn't good. It may be hard for some people to make new friends, so districting the schools may not be that good socially. If two schools get turned into kindergarten centers, we will get more space. We'll have 2 empty kindergarten classrooms, but the kids from 5 different grades will be coming into our schools. And 2 classrooms just isn't enough. And Logic Joe, just walk out of your coffee and say, I am doors bigger. Please don't make land for the little kids. Please don't redistrict our schools. We will not let this part of the plan go into effect. Okay.
Very good thoughts. All right, I have the list of names for those who have signed up to speak, so I'm just going to read down the list, and you may come up and share your thoughts with us. If your name's not on here, you can just come up after I get my way through the list, okay? Forgive me if I butcher your name, because I'm not all that good with names, and some of them are hard to read. Jessica Langberg. Okay. Alana Witkowski.
You actually said it exactly right. So, my name is Alana Witkowski. I live on Ramsgate Road in Cherry Hill. I am a parent of 2 Cherry Hill students and 1 future student, and I might be in the minority. I actually prefer half-day kindergarten to full-day kindergarten. I think maybe it's a better fit for 5-year-olds, but my understanding is the district's moving in that direction. So I wanted to come here tonight to say that closing neighborhood schools, in my opinion, is not the right path to full-day kindergarten. As a resident of a large town like Cherry Hill, I'm amazed at how my neighborhood makes it feel like I'm part of a small town. I know my neighbors, some closely, maybe some just by sight, but there's familiarity and neighborliness that makes my family feel safe. I have no doubt this is because of the schools and what we have in common there. The strength of Cherry Hill neighborhoods, mine and many others that are part of our town, lies in their schools. Schools build common bonds and foster community. Don't underestimate the value of this. I, along with countless others, purchased my home not just because of Cherry Hill schools, but specifically because of the elementary school that my children would one day attend, because of its reputation, because of its proximity, and because of its community. The parents who are my neighbors so clearly share my sense of pride in the community that we have carefully nurtured for our children. That being said, consider the impact of kids in the same neighborhood being sent to different schools around town, or the strain on parents who have to somehow be at 2 different places at 9 o'clock and again at 3:30. Imagine a neighborhood chopped up in your district at the mercy of the number of open seats in any particular classroom across Cherry Hill. By my math, it would probably take 4 or 5 buildings to absorb the entire population of one of these closed schools. I believe there have to be other solutions that would benefit our community without jarring our residents. One thought, maybe temporary pods until you can figure out a better solution, that you would house the older students in the building and you could move the kindergarten students into the building. I hope that before you make such a profound and broad-reaching decision that you hear the voices of your residents. It has been said that there was an overwhelming cry for full-day kindergarten in the Vision 2020 request for information, I don't know what you call that, on the Vision 2024 that was submitted, but I wonder how many of those residents would change their vote if they thought this is how that was going to be achieved. Thank you.
Nona Zucker.
I was up already.
You may finish now.
All right. Thank you. All I wanted to say was that Barton is here tonight, and we're representing a wonderful group of faculty and ed assistants and staff and support staff and PTA who recognize that we have a very diverse population in Cherry Hill, and that I teach to students who go to homes with over 12 different languages. We're privileged as well to have the Syrian refugees in our school, and our whole community opened up to support them, teachers, staff, and I'm just very proud to be a part of all that, and as well to be part of administration who spent so many hours on training our teachers on how to best support and how to help our students of all different backgrounds from all over the world. And I just want to tell you one really quick story, and it goes like this. I had a meeting with the Syrian refugees, and the kindergarteners wanted to come in and meet the mom, because the mom came in with a translator and the charitable organization that was supporting them. And so the little Israeli boys from kindergarten said, can we come in and meet the mom, because we want to ask her for Aliam's phone number, because we want to call her and ask if he can come over and play. So here, Syrian, Arabic-speaking, Jordanian, refugee, and Israel together in our building in Clara Barton. So I think the world is going to be a much better place. Thank you.
Go. So I have, good evening, my name is Rick Short, SHORT, 1002 Charlton Parkway. I kind of changed my speech because I just learned a couple new things, so I don't think I'll be able to get through the whole thing. So you, Dr. Dickinson, you can definitely cut me off. I won't be offended. First up, the 2020 report. Ms. Sugars, it looks like you have some typos there. The one area of material and supplies, some of it was under with long-term. I can't see how long-term plan would be textbooks and just basic supplies. And I'd also like to comment on the other thing that looked like it needed to be immediately fixed, which was our playgrounds. And I've been to about 10 to 12 of the schools, and the playgrounds look great. I mean, the equipment of the playgrounds look great. They don't look like they're falling apart. That's actually one thing that's working pretty good. I have 55 seconds right now. So I'm going to talk a little more about the Barclays security of it. What I would like to know is if the cameras are tied into the police department. I think that's very important. And also the vestibules. It was funny, I was at a New Jersey Senate hearing, and I had a senator there talk about vestibules, and he was actually talking about them being bulletproof, and I'm like, what? Bulletproof? I just want to know if they're going to be shatterproof. I think it's important that they're shatterproof. And I also want to talk about probably the one thing that I have over 15 months to sell to the board and to the people, the stakeholders behind me. There's one thing that you need to add in all the security of all the schools, and I want teachers to think about it too every time there's a lockdown. Because I'm producing a video, some of you guys know it, some of you guys don't, but there's 4 things I'm going to do to improve the school security. One is to be able to barricade a door, and it's very simple. All it is a little pin that just drops right in. If there's one thing that you guys are missing, that's very important. I'm going to create a video, and I'm going to show you what it is. I mean, just look at that door. If somebody were able to get in, just smash it, reach in, unlock it. So you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars with all these vestibules and everything. But I'll tell you, teachers, the next lockdown, think of me. Put on a little barricade thing, because it's going to make you all safer if there is God forbid, that day. Because you should always be ready. I've only got 30 seconds, so I'll just conclude with that. That's what I'm going to work with. I have another 3-part section, and I'll be back.
Laura Leary.
Sorry, it was still too hot in here. I had to step out there. I just wanted to speak because the presentation was a surprise to me. That was a little different than what I had seen previously, so I'm glad the board recognized that that was not what the group expected. I'm still concerned, and I imagine the group would want to know the most important questions, which we haven't answered other than one referendum, is how. How much? How will we do it? How will we make the logistics of this plan work? That's not a $50 or $60 million wish list. It's much higher than that. So 50 or 60 million would be lucky to repair to some reasonable state our current 19 schools. Then, how much to do kindergarten? Where do we do it? So we have a lot of what we'll get to that, but how? That is a big wish list. It's a very important wish list. A lot of that on there isn't really want, it's a need, before we could even consider a full-day kindergarten program. I absolutely don't think there are two, other than the first speaker, and she makes very, very good points, that wouldn't want full-day kindergarten in our district. But what's the cost of that? What's the cost of redistricting? What's the cost of retrofitting two buildings? That's not laid out in that 2020 vision. Those are repair items. That's major infrastructure. That's a lot more than 50 or 60 million. And by no means am I saying we don't need to go to referendum. It has to happen. We cannot fund it. 91% of our tax dollars is what funds our schools. The state is not coming to our aid. And I encourage the board to please join our fight for the funding, because wow, $90 million we've been shortchanged, and I can just imagine what we as a district could have done with those funds. Repair our schools, build new schools, implement full-day kindergarten maybe 10 years ago. One referendum is not enough. So I just implore the group to keep communicating the how. How are we going to get it done? What are the unintended consequences of those actions? What is upstream and downstream? We are always too quick to implement what we think is great, but that's not a 15, 20, 30-year vision. So please, let's think of that and keep the public informed as to how. Thank you.
Valente.
Do you need my name, my address, and all that again?
Yes, please.
Helen Ferrante, 517 Rocky Drive, Cherry Hill. The rest, I think you know where I am by now. So a couple questions. But first I want to say thank you to Dr. Wang and Ms. Schultz for your support. It hurts that now potentially something that I worked extremely hard on will be derailed potentially because of this transfer. It hurts me personally and professionally, and so that's what I'll start with. So I'm hoping that we can find a way to make this work after this meeting. Second, I just want to know, I don't think the public knows why they were being transferred, all of the principals, why they were being assigned. So I think we should be entitled to know why. Entitlement's a big issue in this district and in some areas. And now I'm going to use it. I'm going to say, wow, I want the transparency. I want to know exactly the reasons for it. And I also want to know how are we going to help the children that are now still devastated by this move? How are we going to go back and tell them that their principal is leaving? How are we going to approach that? Second thing, with the district plan, kindergarten, I actually am in favor of kindergarten full day. I've taught it in Camden full day, and it is a good thing, but I don't think making 2 kindergarten centers is the right way to go about it. I think there need to be more regular schools along with the other grades. That is a very big part. I'm not the one who has a solution on how to do that, but I think that is an important facet that we need to really look into. Second, is basically, I'm going to say this, we will be continuing this fight to keep our principals where they are. This is not over. We will be back. And I know who we voted, but there are other ways. And that's where I'll end. Thank you.
Lorianne Wheeler.
She said no. She passed.
Okay. Maurique Rosdale? Vida Neal? Tom Bianco?
Good evening. My name is Tom Bianco. I 403 Yorkshire Road, back in Kingston here. It's my first one of these. Extremely nervous. Have no idea what to expect when I got here, so bear with me. I'll do my best not to make you all dumber for having listened to me tonight. Just a quick question is really all I wanted to have answered, and I was hoping to get that tonight, but it doesn't seem to be the methods here, so that's cool. I am a lifelong resident of Cherry Hill. I have 3 children currently in district. I'm also a physical therapist and owner of a practice in South Jersey area. We contract PT and OT services into the school district. And I had a question, I guess it is regarding the bidding process that goes on in Cherry Hill. We've been the district for about 20 years now. I think 1999 was our first year providing services to children in the district. And it was made known to us, I guess it was last week, that we currently were not going to have our contract renewed. That's fine, I get it. But what my problem is, or my question is, I'm not sure how the bidding process takes place. We scour the district websites throughout South Jersey. We submit bids in a timely manner. We conform to each district's requests and wishes. But this year we weren't given the opportunity to even rebid in this district, and I'm not quite sure why or how we missed that. It sounds like plumbers are aware and contractors are aware, and if I look on the website this morning, I see speech and language pathologists have an opportunity to bid. But again, basically an employee of this district for 19 years or so wasn't made aware of the ability to do it. I'm concerned for the children of the district. I know we have glowing feedback, glowing feedback from the teachers regarding our therapists, which are only 3 in total. It's not like we have a $5 million contract with the district. It's probably on the order of $200,000. But again, it was my understanding that anything over $17,000 had to go out for bid, and I'm not sure how that is missed on our part. Again, we're pretty thorough with our stuff. Where we have tried to contact the district, not myself personally, my partner has spoken to members in the room, and they were told that it wasn't based on a financial decision or whether satisfaction surveys or anything of that nature, but the decision was made, and that was that, basically. So again, if everybody can enlighten me on that, I'd appreciate it, whether it be via email or phone call or whatever, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll follow up with you. Sharon Davis. Sharon? Beth Becker.
Hello, my name is Beth Becker. I live at 17 Dunbarton Road. Dr. Morish said earlier tonight that when extrapolated, the responses to the 2020 survey represented 1,000 individuals. Well, according to the district website, there are 6,800 families in the district, which means that less than 15% of families' voices were represented in the answers. And we still don't have any concrete results as to what percent of that 15% said that full-day kindergarten was a priority, what percent of that 15% said that security, to the extent that it was presented tonight, was a top priority. I still want more data. I understand you're in the early phases, and you said earlier that all possibilities will be studied, and I appreciate that. But you put forth a plan of shutting down 2 schools to make them kindergarten centers, which would cause redistricting in most, if not all, the remaining elementary schools. And now it may be difficult to be impartial when doing studies, since you already have a solution in mind that you're looking to prove or disprove. And I just want to encourage you to take a step back from that plan and look at all possibilities. We cannot afford to not look at all possibilities, especially with all the very expensive problems we have to deal with in our buildings. We have to openly look at full-day kindergarten, if full-day kindergarten is something we can implement, something we want to implement, and if we want to, how, and at what cost financially, academically, and socially, emotionally. We need to look at retrofitting current buildings, or adding buildings to our district, or looking into the EDCC program, or maybe offering full day as an option while we can build up a universal full day. All of these options need to be looked at. And yes, other districts have implemented all-day kindergarten centers, but just from a cursory Google search, I can see that it hasn't all been positive. There have been transportation issues that have caused lack of instructional time. There's been loss of communication between kindergarten and first grade teachers, and that's a very important transition from kindergarten into first grade. And there's also been a sense of loss of community. Also, that was my daughter who spoke earlier, and I do want to say that in her comments, in her written thing that she wrote up, she did write developments, not towns. She just went off script a little bit and got nervous. So she did understand that it's between developments, not between towns. Thank you very much.
Jennifer Fisher.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Fisher. I live at 12 Regent Road. That's a tough act to follow. I have seen the 2020 plan, and like a lot of parents here, I'm very concerned about the kindergarten option. I am all for full-day kindergarten. I've paid for 2 rounds of EDCC in the past 4 years, and it's expensive. And I have another one coming up in a couple of years. But I'm concerned at the lack of neighborhood schools. I work in a district, I teach in a district that we bus kids all over the place. And what it has shown me is a general empathy in our student body. They have no connection to their school. They don't have friends in their neighborhood. There are no spirit nights. There are no water ice nights. In fact, our first year at Sharp 4 years ago, I was blown away at the school family, the PTA, the events at night that really make our neighborhood a community. I didn't want to move to Cherry Hill. That my husband was born and raised here. This was his decision. I wanted to go someplace that had a neighborhood, that I could walk to coffee shops and walk to schools. And I lost the argument because of the schools. And I'm happy I lost. I love my neighborhood. I love my school. And the thought of losing it is devastating. And I know that we look at these things, I mean, as an educator, I do the same thing. We look at numbers. We look at data. We don't always look at the effects on children. And I'm afraid how this would affect our kids. I also am worried about the teachers. I'm worried about the overflow of schools into schools like Sharp or Stockton or whoever remains open. Because I know the number of kids on a piece of paper it says that can be in your classroom is completely different than the 30 kids sitting in front of you with no aid and all by yourself. I'm in that situation right now, and it's not fun. So I just ask that you consider all options. I know you said tonight nothing is set in stone, it's just a plan, but it's the plan we've all heard, and we haven't heard anything else, and this is why we're concerned. So please reconsider the plan, and again, all for full-day kindergarten, just not this way. Thank you.
Karen Bell.
Hi. Karen Bell, 433 Dorel Drive. I'm expressing my personal opinion here today. Overall, I think we have, people might call them, falling down structural issue buildings, okay? I don't think it's right to add services, even if they are requested, because our basic needs are actually not being met. I know you addressed them when you guys spoke. I'm not interested in kindergarten center, especially at my children's elementary school. My children go to Woodcrest, and I'm a big fan of, they went to half-day kindergarten there, and I'm a big fan of Woodcrest and the teachers there. Okay, so We already have some plans that are not being implemented. I know we spoke about something about the water in September. I don't think we can add more. I think that, some of the faucets, the children are using them to fill their water bottles, even though it says don't do that. But they're going to go to the closest one. And now I've come to find out that now we're only putting one. Now, I think the letter you guys sent said it would be $150,000. I guesstimated $120 when we talked in September. So basically, that's a plan that a kid's not going to walk from here all the way to the back of that school because the teacher's never going to allow it. So this is like a simple plan that, I want to see kids have water in the school, okay? And that's not going through. So I don't think you get to put kindergarten, full-day kindergarten centers in. Okay, in my opinion. Okay. Also, modeling does not occur in a one-age school. Children will not have older role models. Alternatively, they're not encouraged to help younger children. Accountability in regards to the PTA and parent involvement is lost because it's one year. People just will not get involved, unfortunately. The buses. The bus time should be minimized, not maximized. They're small children. We already have behavioral problems on the buses already. Why? Because you don't have somebody around watching the children. So the children are expected to behave and things happen, and that's great. But increasing the bus time would inevitably increase the behavioral issues. Traffic in Cherry Hill is not getting better, okay? If you live in a center, it's possible that many people, including myself, will have children at different elementary schools because of capacity issues. So I'm going to say, oh, I'm in a center, I'm going to do this, and then it's going to be great. And then, I didn't realize it, but I'm going to send my kids to 2 different schools. And what about the people with like 4 or 5 kids? That's a nightmare. I think this could affect all of Cherry Hill real estate. You're not going to have families who are going to want to come and live here because, as the other women might have mentioned, proximity to a neighborhood school is why people purchase their home. I'm not interested in the kindergarten center. I like Woodcrest. And overall, I think everyone is working hard here. Okay, and everyone wants the best, even if we disagree, okay? We want good things for our children. I would like to know how all of us can get involved, which may not be helpful, in helping us get more state and federal funding. I really understand it, and I asked that at the last meeting when I spoke. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Stacey Sims.
Hi, I'm Stacy Sims, 15 Daytona Avenue. I'm here to represent a group of parents of athletes in both future and current athletes at Cherry Hill High School West. So I just wrote this up real quick so I don't mess up. Okay. So our sports programs have had losing records in Cherry Hill, especially for girls. Everyone agrees that academics are important. For some students, their academics increase because of their participation in sports. Also, sports can be a vehicle for some students to go to college who otherwise may not have done so. That being said, I would like to ask 3 things. 1, I would like to ask the board to reinstate the B-level teams at middle school level so the pool of athletes coming into high school is bigger. 2, I would like to ask the board to consider moving into another conference, one in which we can be more competitive, and I think that might be up for discussion in 2018. I'm not sure. 3, I would like to ask if the activity fees that we pay, and I think we started doing that in 2009 or 8, I can't remember, are being used directly for our activities, such as sports, drama, and other things of that nature, because parents think that that's where they're going, but I don't think anybody really knows. That's it. Thank you.
Frederick Donde.
Frederick Donde, 7 Woodbury Drive. First, I want to take the opportunity to thank Ms. Charles for your support. I know it's a very uncomfortable meeting for you, but we thank you for standing with the parents and the community. Dr. Wang, I want to thank you for taking the time to think about it. You didn't make a decision, but at least you thought about it. And for the rest 7 of you, if you had a kid in a school and the kid would tell you why is the principal being fired, and the parents also like the principal, I don't know what kind of leadership would actually fire a performer. And at the same time, hire somebody. We had a conversation today, and actually, just when I was here, once everybody saw this video of you voting to fire a performing principal, to transfer a principal that parents are telling you that you need to keep, and at the same time, to not listen and take time to think through what you're actually doing, that is not leadership. That is not putting children first, and actually that is not being here to speak for the community. That is an interest that is not placed well, that serves you and whatever reason it serves. It doesn't serve us as a community. You need to listen to the community. That's your job. That's why you get paid with tax dollars. And for those of you who volunteer, you also here to listen to the community. And as she said, from Stockton and us, this is not the end of it. We'll work to try and keep these principles. Dr. Moesh, I have a lot of respect for you, but leadership, you don't fire a performer. I read this, I gave everybody a copy. The worst you should do in that case is take time, read it, and make a decision, not ignore a decision. So I urge you to think through what the community is saying. I didn't read my speech. This is something that 70 parents did. And we didn't have a whole week. I got approached on Friday night that Ms. Taylor is going, what can we do? I talked to my wife. I said, okay, let's put a petition. Let's see how many people support this idea. Cooper has 274 kids. Roughly, if a family has 2 kids, that's like 130 parents. Now, if 90 parents can say that we don't want this principle has been good, the leadership we've had for the last 7 years, we've had 4 principals. There's no reason why Ms. Taylor should be fired after 2 years, and the principal from Beck has been there for 1 year. So if the reason was first in, first out, that is not the reason. If the reason was carrying course, you just hired somebody. So I don't know what the idea is, but at least let us know why. That's all we need to know.
Just to clarify, folks, there were principals that were fired. Nobody was fired. It's called a reduction in force. It's based on the number of positions that are available. Nobody has been fired. None of the principals were fired. That's it. That's factually accurate.
Is Mr. Taylor working here? She doesn't. Mrs. Taylor is fired.
Susan Druckenbrod.
So don't lie. Fire somebody who says fired.
Mr. Dowdy, that's enough.
I understand.
That's enough. That's enough.
Druckenbrod, 162 Valley Run Drive. I'm concerned about the construction at Barton. Now I'm just learning that you're going to do it while the kids are there. I think that will make learning difficult. Will the air quality be monitored? It sounds like you're going to have to do a lot of concrete work, which is pretty dusty. So if you could possibly do it during the summer, I think it would be more beneficial to the kids, teachers. The other thing that I'm concerned about is with the construction work, you're going to close off 2 bathrooms that are currently for kindergarten. So if you're looking for space for kindergarten, why would you close off 2 bathrooms that are currently being used for kindergarten? So those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Ilya Khan. Arshad Hussain. Glenn Patterson. Laura Pendergrass.
Hi, my name is Laura Pendergast, and I live at 119 Old Carriage. I'm a parent speaking in support of the full-day kindergarten. I also have some expertise in this area. I have a PhD in school psychology. I'm a professor in the College of Education at Temple University. In the past 5 years, I've published 30 peer-reviewed articles, many in early childhood education and early childhood health. So I noticed when I looked at your goals that the first goal of the Board of Ed is to improve student achievement and to reduce achievement gaps. And I'm really excited that you've taken a step that all of the research, or the majority of the research and evidence would suggest will lead you in that direction. The research on the benefits of full-day kindergarten are clear. 75% of school districts nationwide have adopted full-day kindergarten programs. And there's good reason for that. The research shows improvements in reading and math. The research shows clear reductions in achievement gaps across racial groups, across SES. People worry about kids sitting in classrooms all day long, but actually that's not what the research shows. The research shows that kids who are in full-day kindergarten have less screen time and more physical activity than kids who are in half-day kindergarten. In addition, teachers who teach full-day kindergarten classes can implement more creative, hands-on, play-based learning because they're not trying to cram a full day's worth of curriculum, which they have to do now, into just a half a day. And finally, the research clearly shows that there's improved social emotional functioning for kids that attend full-day kindergarten. So I'm just really excited that you're considering an evidence-based decision in support of full-day kindergarten. If 75% of school districts in the nation have taken this step, and there's these clear benefits, I think that the kids in Cherry Hill deserve that too. So thank you very much.
Lisa Rosenberg.
Hi, my name is Lisa Rosenberg. I live at 5 Woodbury Drive. So I'm here also as a parent to support full-day kindergarten. As Laura just said, I work in a school that has full-day kindergarten, and the social, emotional, and academic leaps and gains that I've seen from the students who I service is unbelievable. I have a daughter who's currently in kindergarten in Cherry Hill, and every day I said, "Who did you play with today?" She goes, "Mommy, they don't play in school." And I stopped when she first said that to me, and I said, You're 5. What do you mean we don't play in school?" She's like, "We don't have time for that. We have to do math. We have to write in our journals. We have to practice reading. We don't have time for that." And I signed her up for afternoon programming because she's 5. She needs to play. She needs that social time. So I'm in full support. Also, partially because kids get to have other specials other than just library right now. I mean, library is awesome, but to introduce music and, gym and physical activity, I mean, it just, I don't have to convince you guys that full-day kindergarten is the way to go. What I'm really here to speak about is not reorganizing our schools and keeping those neighborhood schools, as most of the parents have already spoken about. I grew up in Cherry Hill. My husband grew up in Cherry Hill. We actually bought my parents' house to come back to Cherry Hill. I kicked them out. I said, "You're downgrading soon. We're buying our house." I moved from Voorhees, competitive district with you guys, and decided to come back to Cherry Hill. One of the reasons we bought my house was because it's right across the street from Cooper School. I have 2 children with special needs. I did not want my kids to have to take a bus when they couldn't understand what other people might not understand what they're saying because one of them has a language disability. That's important to us. Most people don't think about things because they don't have to, and that's cool, we get it. But I'm here to speak and advocate for the neighborhood schools, not only for the sense of community and the transportation costs and all that, but also there are other factors that come into play that people buy houses for, not just I live across the street so I don't have to worry about a bus. People are going to be requesting aids if you're busing kids that have medical needs or other needs that currently walk to school. That's money for you guys. That's real money. So, just wanted to bring up points that most people don't think about. And I really hope to be part of the conversation as developing different strategies other than redistricting our current students. Thank you.
Jessica Laser. Jessica? No. Take your time.
Okay.
I'm Jessica Mazer. I live at 1006 East Tampa Avenue. I started kindergarten at Joyce Kilmer Elementary School in the late 80s and was a student of the Cherry Hill school system until I graduated West in 2001. My family, unlike a lot of families in the area, lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with 5 people. My parents really couldn't afford the apartment, and my mom worked really hard to stay there because she knew the key to her children doing better than she did was a strong education. It was a struggle, but I wouldn't change our struggle for the world because it allowed me to be here today. When I was in high school, I couldn't have told you the difference between an associate's or a bachelor's degree, but I knew I wanted to go to college. I eventually graduated from Rutgers, the first in my family to graduate from college, with an accounting degree, and I work as a business analyst for the Department of Defense. All of this is possible because of my education. When my husband and I were ready to start a family, it didn't take long to decide we'd head back to Cherry Hill. I bought a house here in Kingston, a neighborhood that was a dream for kids like me growing up. My daughter went to her kindergarten orientation last week. Afterwards, we drove by West, and she excitedly exclaimed, "Look, Mommy, the Purple Lion School. I want to go there, right?" I told her yes, after Kingston, and then she'd probably go to Courtesy, the Maroon Mustang School. And then I said, "I want that one," and she said, "I went to college to be a teacher." That was one of my proudest moments as a parent because college isn't a big concept of something people do. To her, it's just something she wants to do. The cycle's broken, and my education did that. The reason I'm here today is to make sure she gets the best education our town has to offer. Study after study points out that full-day kindergarten is more important than ever to jumpstart what I hope is a lifetime love of learning. To make sure our children are on par with their peers in surrounding towns and states. I found very few people will argue that full-day kindergarten isn't the way to the future. The argument generally surrounds how to implement it here in Cherry Hill. The biggest issue seems to be redistricting our 12 elementary schools and the fear of losing a neighborhood school. It's kind of a foreign concept to me because, like I said, I lived in an apartment and I was bused to elementary school. I benefited massively from the Cherry Hill education, and I didn't walk or get dropped off. I made lifelong friends in elementary school. 2 of the women in my wedding I met at Joyce Kilmer. I firmly believe that if redistricting is the way to make full-day kindergarten happen, it's what we should do. I spoke with a couple of teachers at Barclay Elementary, or Barclay Early Education, and they said that the concern about kids sitting still all day is kind of null and void because the full day gives them the opportunity to work on creative play and socialization, which is really important at that stage. I believe the Board of Ed and the school district has our children's best interest in mind, and I look forward to hearing how this looks in the future. Thank you.
Teresa Bailey. Teresa? No. Carolyn Gargaro.
Hello, my name is Carolyn Gargaro, and I live at 17 Tendring Road. And I'm probably going to repeat some things that people have already said, who probably said it more eloquently than I will. But like to say, I grew up in the Cherry Hill School District from kindergarten through 12th grade, and I currently have 2 children in elementary school and 1 that will attend kindergarten next year. I happen to be one who supports full-day kindergarten. However, I must disagree with the proposed implementation of this. I feel that even as a full-day kindergarten supporter, it isn't worth closing 2 of our neighborhood schools, completely redistricting, and causing what might be upheaval for all Cherry Hill communities. I am concerned that what will happen to the neighborhoods where the local schools are taken away. I am concerned about transportation issues. I am concerned about the logistics of redistricting all of the neighborhoods, and concerned about the construction that would need to be done to transform these schools into kindergarten centers. I also believe that kindergartners will benefit from experiencing a school with children from different grades. One reason for choosing our current home was its close proximity to our current elementary school. Please find a different solution to implementing full-day kindergarten. There must be a way to do this without closing schools and redistricting everything. Thank you very much.
Crystal Bowen. Alicia Lerman.
Hello. So I just want to talk briefly about the full-day kindergarten. I also, as I mentioned, I taught kindergarten at Yorkshire, actually. Just funny that it worked out that way. So I had full-day kindergarten, so I understand the concept of it, but the problem I have with the plan that's proposed is the redistricting of the neighborhoods. I also feel the community feel of being at Joyce Kilmer and living in the neighborhood, and just today my daughter saw one of her friends and she didn't realize that she lived so close, and that's my concern, especially, like I said, for the special needs kids that are going to get shipped around. But for everybody, I just don't see the benefit of, when I think full-day kindergarten is a good thing, but it has to be well thought out, and having it maybe in the schools that they're currently in, because seeing the older role models is helpful. Maybe having like a art or music, room used as a kindergarten room, and having them take their supplies to the classes. But before you propose doing full-day kindergarten, you need to look at the state of our schools. There's been all this talk about security, and which I think is important, but there's also the fact that our schools are falling apart. They are all in really bad shape, and the money needs to be spent on where these kids spend all these all their time, plus the teachers and all the staff. The schools are falling apart, and that needs to be addressed. Everything else. And then my other concern is, for if we were to do the redistricting, what is the class size going to look like? Part of the reason that some of the people moved to Cherry Hill is because a lot of our classes are smaller than the state mandated size. And my concern is that these classes, if we're bringing more kids into the classroom, into the school, that the classes are going to get larger. And that's not going to help the students, and that's not going to help the teachers. Thank you.
James Rodriguez. I think he left, right? All right, that does it for the list. Mike's open for anybody that wants to talk.
Good evening, my name is Drew Duboff, and I reside at 20 Neomoa Drive. I will be speaking about the 2020 vision. I am a proud product of the Cherry Hill schools. My parents saw the value of this district's education when they moved here. Throughout Cooper, Rosa, and East, I gained valuable knowledge that helped me to succeed at Johnson & Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island, where I graduated summa cum laude on Saturday with my associate's degree in culinary arts. Over the next 3 years, I will be receiving 2 bachelor's degrees in culinary arts and food service management and restaurant food and beverage management, and double minoring in sommelier and craft brewing, followed by a master's in business administration with a concentration in hospitality. At the university, I participate in the vocal ensemble and theater program, work for campus dining, serve on the executive board that manages all of our career and technical student organizations, and am the newly elected undergraduate student representative for the university curriculum committee. I believe, with all due respect, that your vision is slightly misaligned with what current students need to academically thrive. It is not enough to speak to students anymore and expect them to retain information. I implore the Board of Education to invest in a curriculum comprised of experiential education. Invest in the students. Invest in the faculty. Don't spend your money on paving curbs or creating vestibules that treat parents and visitors like they are unwelcome. Instead, focus on immersive learning where students will enjoy an active pursuit of knowledge. Sometimes it is difficult and risky to invest money in an intangible way, but let the happiness of the children of the parents around me serve as your measure. It's time to change the culture. Make schools a place where children want to go, not where they're forced to. I won't benefit, but perhaps the people I one day will work with can. Thank you for your time and your investment in me as a prior student.
I'm short, sorry. Hi, my name is Diana Morris. I live at 308 Highgate Lane. My husband and I both grew up in Cherry Hill and graduated from East. We have also raised our 6 children. We were the only one mark to graduate from high school. I worked for the district for 11 years, and I currently teach special ed at Horace Mann. I just wanted to share how proud I am of our little school.
While our staff is always teaching to encourage critical thinking and reflective learning, we also celebrated Wellness Week this year, working on healthy living through good nutrition and daily exercise. The Cherry Hill Fire Department joined us to chat about healthy eating during lunch and came to play kickball with our students during recess. We ended our week-long activities with an assembly where we further investigated proper nutrition and participated in many fun and engaging movement exercises. You can still hear our children at lunch talking about which fruit or vegetable they brought for the day. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christine Williamson. I also teach at Horace Mann Elementary School. I have been teaching children with autism in Cherry Hill for 15 years and children with autism in general since 1992. And I have a sheer love for my students. And this year we had on April 1st, 200 plus students, family, and friends gathered for our first annual Autism Walk that was organized by the PTA and all the autism support teachers and Dr. DeVay. It was a wonderful, wonderful occasion that all my students came to, which in all the years teaching, my students don't come to a lot of activities because they're nervous or they're anxious, but this was just a wonderful, wonderful occasion. We had the Cherry Hill Fire Department, police, we had Cherry Hill SEPTA there, we had the Horace Mann Eagle, we had South Town Council. We walked, it was a fun walk, a lot of donations. We sold t-shirts, awesome shirts, and pins ahead of time. So all the money will go towards our Recess Buddy program that the fourth graders come into our classrooms, indoor recess, and we're going to buy some new games, and it's a really nice program that we have. So it was a great day. Everybody really enjoyed themselves. We had an awesome DJ, face painting, and tattoos. It's a great day, inbound. So it was a really great occasion. So hopefully next year, if we have it again, you guys can come out. Thank you. Have a good night.
Hi, I'm Jane Rodeo, president of Cherry Hill Special Ed PTA, and was just reelected. We have 5 board members, which is wonderful. I live at 224 North Madison Avenue in Cherry Hill. I have a couple kind of issues here and there. Overall, I want to thank Dr. Dickinson and also Dr. Mirage for getting me some of the policies so that our members, parents, family, teachers can see those policies, come up with some great ideas. I do want to tell you the 2020 vision is really getting stirred up within the special ed families. There have been a lot of ideas. One of the things that really hits me, there's a lot of curriculum issues, but one of the things that I really want to put forward today is, I know we're looking at structural differences within the buildings, and I think that everyone should be concerned about something like maybe a walkway isn't fixed or something like that. However, if you do not use the ADA regulations the first time using an architect the way we found out when we were trying to put in our adaptive swings and we were trying to put in a cement walkway that we actually couldn't do because of the time and the money that it was going to cost, you're going to have to do that later. So whatever you come up with structural differences, make sure that you looked at your ADA regulations first. Make sure that the American Disabilities Act is being followed so that our students with wheelchairs can actually get to the playgrounds, that the children with their walkers can actually walk into the school every day and not slip. So just a thought out there. Also, the Horace Mann activity was so inclusive and wonderful. We're so excited to be a part of that and to offer bubbles that day. And thank you so much for all that you do.
Hi, I'm Missy Lang, 203 Pearlcroft Road. I'm the Zone PTA President, and I'm also the co-chair for the Fair Funding for Cherry Hill Public Schools. I'm here tonight to talk about the funding that Cherry Hill receives from the state of New Jersey. 3 years ago, a committee under Zone PTA was formed to advocate for the district. We have met with Mayor Khan, Representatives Greenwald and Lampett, Senate President Sweeney, Senator Beach, to educate and inform them that we deserve to be fairly funded. We have testified at budget hearings, attended rallies in Trenton, spoke at civic associations, PTA meetings, and senior events. We have developed a website and have an active Facebook following. Cherry Hill has been underfunded over $90 million over the last 8 years. Next year, we will fund our school budget 91% from local taxes compared to other districts that will be at 60 to 70%. Cherry Hill receives only 40% of what we should be receiving under the School Funding Reform Act of 2008, while 34% of New Jersey districts are fully or overfunded. We are still well below our 2008 funding level of $16.5 million. We are not a one-to-one technology district. Our buildings are in desperate need of repair and updated security systems. We don't have room in our buildings for full-day kindergarten. We continue to do more with less. As we discuss the 2020 vision, what would it look like if we had received our fair share over the last 8 years? We would not be discussing redistricting 2 elementary schools for kindergarten centers, or would we be even having this discussion in terms of renovating an existing building or building a new building in Cherry Hill if we had those funds? Would we have smart boards in every classroom instead of chalk? Would we still have our reading specialists and math specialists at the elementary level? It is time that we speak up, and we are asking the Board of Education, the administration, and most of all our community to join us for a rally before the state budget is finalized. I reached out to Representative Lampett and Greenwood's office today, and one of the aides said that they will work with us in terms of getting a rally together up in Trenton. So we are not finalized for the date, but we ask that everyone join, and we need to stand up for our money. We need to get back the money that the other districts are using. So I ask that if you are interested, I do have a sign-up sheet. If you can provide me with your name and your email address, then I will send out the information once the date is finalized.
Hi, my name's Jen Heimel. I live at 21 Southwood Drive, and I'm the mom of 3 boys, one of whom's in the public school system and 2 who will soon come down the pike, but I'm also a pediatrician. And I really strongly support your vision for a full-day kindergarten. I think it's a wonderful tool to teach children not just the rubrics of reading and math, but also appropriate social behaviors that they wouldn't get otherwise. And I think that also part of the teaching experience is being part of a bigger school, being part of multiple grades so they can see appropriate behaviors modeled by older children. And I'd ask that you consider that in your proposal for full-day kindergarten.
Steve Robbins, 103 Charlotte Circle. I actually hadn't planned on speaking tonight, but I was reminded not too long ago that I've been a little too negative recently, and so I think it was appropriate that I think I have something good to say that I think I should come forward. Kudos to administration, kudos to the board on the 2020 presentation tonight. I think the pivot towards the referendum and building from the bottom up what would we like to figure out how, and then figure out what that's going to cost, and then what that would look like through a bond, gives both the visibility that we all need and the potentially the choice that we'd all like to have in terms of doing a bond referendum. I think that's a great way to do it. I only wish that we had kind of started this from that perspective at the beginning. I think that would have prevented some of the false starts we had about the 6th grade center and some of this discussion we're having tonight about the kindergarten centers. I know you haven't figured that out yet. I'm sure it would be wonderful to retrofit all of the elementary schools to keep the kindergarten and so in schools. And so the question is, well, at what cost and where does that fit in the referendum? And you put that on the list and you compare that to what the childhood centers are. Don't have to remind the board that students spend about only half their time in the district at their elementary schools, and that and especially those board members who are parents of children who are now older in the district, how fleeting that time is. And so let's not let the sentimentality of the kindergarten and elementary years kind of cloud our judgment on what really could be best for the long-term value of the district. Yes, there will be short-term disruption at the elementary schools for whatever change you make, and just redistricting might be inevitable no matter what, because we have a mismatch of housing and available seats. Heck, look at the map now. A lot of kids in this district are not attending the elementary school closest to their houses now and haven't been for decades. So let's not, let's remember where we are, where we came from, and where we're trying to get to is ultimately the best interest of all the kids in the district, and think about not just the 5,000 kids who at most might be disrupted if we change the elementary schools now, but the tens of thousands of kindergartners who are going to come through the district 2020, 2030, 2040. Sign me up for whatever you need for help on the bond, on the referendum. This is a long time coming. This district is chronically under leveraged, has been for 50 years. And this is the problem with not borrowing. We wouldn't have the adequacy problems we have with the state. There are just so many things that would be so much better if we had borrowed in the past. Let's not let the past, the flawed past, color what is clearly beneficial for the districts in the future. And so go to work on that. Looking forward to helping going forward. I would ask for a clarification, though. A teacher that is subject to a RIF, I believe, is being fired. The RIF might be the reason why they're being terminated, but let's be clear, a teacher that is subject to a RIF is involuntarily being dismissed from the district, and Webster's would call that firing. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mary Morris, and I'm at 501 Manager. First of all, I want to thank the board, the administration, and Missy, and the PTA. I want to remind everybody you've come up tonight with the beginning of what I consider a wonderful vision for the future. And we're going to be in the future, whether we're ready or not, and are trying to plan for that. For me, it's like you're building some sort of a vehicle that we're going to move into the future and take all our kids and let our kids in and take them where it's the best place for them to be going as they move on into their lives. But the whole issue is the motive power is right here. We all know now is the time in terms of trying to make a huge charitable voice about the issue of our funding. If we have been underfunded, it is a scandal. It's gone on so long that people have taken it as a matter of course, and I've sat through many of those meetings where we stretched $1, then we stretched 50 cents, then we stretched a quarter, and everybody's not doing that. I happen to have a son who is educating his children in Jersey City, $29,000 per student. Wouldn't that be luxurious? Then there's a charter school because the schools are not very good. So talk about irony, but you know what? It's on all of the candidates' speeches, as we're listening to all the people who are running for governor, et cetera, one of the things, as you're seeing, as you're reading the paper, is that I think all of us as citizens are sort of saying, oh wow, do we have a part of us? Well, the answer, of course, is yes. And if we sit back and watch and say, well, somebody will go, somebody will be there to speak to the legislators, somebody, they're counting the people who come, they're watching who's there. Never kid yourself that those are important figures and numbers for them. So I would urge everybody who can possibly go to sign up with Missy. She did this once before at some earlier point. I think we were smart about how important it is for us to be active, and only 5 people went. That's not a good representation out of, what did you say, 6,600 families? That's kind of pitiful, because people know Cherry Hill. So I'm just urging you to do that, because the time is now, and it needs to be done before the next election. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? You all staring at me like want me to say something. Going once? Okay, well, good night. Thank you for your feedback.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Mrs. Judge and Mr. Goodwin. What's your name?